Good afternoon, Respondent speaking.
Yeah, I was looking for Ananissa Skizakaga Plona. Is that you?
Pardon? Can you say?
I don't know how to say your name. Agnes Skizagaga? Skazga? Plona. Mrs. Plona.
Can you spell it?
Sure. Agneszka. And the last name is Plona. I don't know how to say that.
It's Agnieszka Plona speaking.
Oh, how do I say your name?
It's Agnieszka Plona.
Agnieszka. Oh, Polish name, right?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm trying to figure a couple things out. I've only got one page of a letter, and it's got your name on it. And there's no account number. There's no nothing here. But it says I have to cooperate with some kind of a survey, and I've got to cooperate with some kind of a audit. Is that true?
I am not sure, but what is your name?
Jake Smythe, Smythe, but I don't think you were communicating with me. I think you're talking to my landlord, but I want to make sure. So look, I just got to understand something here because I do all the paperwork.
Your landlord.
I do all the paperwork for my landlord. He hired me to do everything for him, right? So I just need to know because he's kind of panicking right now. It seems like the letter told him he's going to jail. Are you going to put him in jail? Is that what's happening here?
About what is this in regards to?
It's a letter that you sent. It's a letter you sent to the owner of the house I live in. I do all his paperwork for him, and it's a threat of some kind. But he can't find the first page. So I need to know. It sounds like you guys want to do an audit. Two questions. Can you put him in jail? And does he legally have to cooperate with the audit? Go ahead.
Well, I haven't sent the letter.
Oh.
So you would not have received the letter from me.
But your name is on it.
I'm not sure why my name is on it.
Well, I don't know either. That's why I'm calling. Okay, that's why I'm calling you. So, but all right. So if this is an audit, does he legally have to cooperate with it, or can we just get legal counsel?
Yeah, I mean, of course, if it's an audit, but then you need to contact the auditor.
Okay, but what?
You can contact the auditor. I'm not the auditor.
What's the penalty?
The letter would not have come from me.
Well, your name is on it. How did I get your number? Your name is on it.
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah, so maybe there was a letter for something else that your client.
Okay, so
it makes it up. Maybe there are pages from different letters.
Can you put us in jail if we don't cooperate with the audit?
I don't have the authority. I haven't sent any letters, so I would not know. I'm not. Is this for income tax audit? What is this for?
I don't know. This is your letter. Okay, let me ask you more questions then, because I want to try to figure this out. Let's say we don't want to cooperate with your audit. What's the penalty?
Oh, if taxpayer does not cooperate with it, it's very simple. You can even Google and you will find out what are the consequences for not cooperating for the audit.
Google sucks. They're a bunch of pedophiles.
Right?
So I need to know.
Yeah, I mean, the same thing. If you don't cooperate during the audit, they have to do calculations based on what the information they have.
Oh.
But.
Okay. So what? Okay, let me paraphrase what you said here. So, it sounds like you have no powers of authority to arrest us or charge us criminally if we do not cooperate with an audit. And if we don't cooperate with an audit, you're going to get mad and just make up a number for taxes. Is that what I'm saying? What I'm hearing?
What do you mean, being mad?
Well, I know that people have fragile egos in our modern society. So if we say we do not want to cooperate with you, you'll just make a number up. Is that correct?
Well, see, this thing is that you have my name, you have my number, I understand. I don't know about which taxpayers you're calling. You call me from Alberta. I know definitely I'm not doing audit in Alberta. So you're asking me a hypothetical question.
Well, actually, I'm not in Alberta. I'm in Russia right now.
The same information you can Google by going to see our website, and what to expect during an audit. You will have exactly the same information.
Well, why?
But I can't discuss anything. I can't discuss anything with you in regards to your whoever you prepare the tax for, your client.
Yeah.
Because I don't know who you prepare the tax for. I don't know the situation of your client.
Okay.
So
well,
I'm not going to say what are the consequences because I don't understand the situation.
Well, it's real simple. There's a letter here. It's a threat. Obviously, it's a threat. You gave the man here that I do all this paperwork for, you almost gave him a heart attack. He was crying and having panic attacks because of you, because your name is on this letter. I don't know how you feel about that. Doesn't sound like you care, but I need to know if you have the power to arrest him or me if we refuse to cooperate with your threat. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is that I haven't sent a letter to anybody in Alberta. Sorry. And I don't know who you're referring to. I don't know who your client is. And I don't know.
That's not what I asked you. You're dodging. No, that's not what I asked you. You're dodging the question.
No, I'm not dodging the question. I'm just saying that I don't know your name. I don't know your client's name.
I told you my name.
Just because you have my name and my phone number, you can call the inquiry. You can ask the same kind of question. I don't know which client you're referring to because none of the clients the taxpayer that I have.
Okay. So you're being, okay, hold on. Ms. Blona, you're being very defensive. I don't know why you're being defensive now. You work for the government, which means you work for me. You're a public servant. Even though you work for the CRA, you issued a threat. You sent a man into convulsions over this threat. Now you're telling me that you don't really care and that you're not going to answer my questions. It's kind of rude. So I'm just asking you, if we don't want to be audited, if we don't want to cooperate with this audit, can we do jail time for that? I just need a yes or no.
I'm just asking you.
Don't ask me questions. I did not ask you to ask me a question. I asked you a question. And since you work for me, I would just appreciate it, please, if you could answer the question. Yes or no, can the CRA put us in prison if we refuse to deal with you or this audit? Go ahead. Yes or no?
And I'm going to repeat again. I don't have your name. I don't know who am I speaking to, and I don't have your client's name. So for me to say anything in regards to your client, I cannot speak because I don't know if you're a representative, and I will not discuss your client's information if I don't have the client's name, information, and check if whether you are authorized representative for the clients for me to speak to you.
Are you a police officer? Are you a police officer?
Pardon?
Are you a police officer?
I'm not a police officer.
Then why are you threatening people?
Did I just threaten you?
Not me, but this gentleman you did.
How?
Well, it says here that we have to contact you and that we have to deal with this audit that you want to do. And I'm asking you, if we don't want to do it, I think what you said earlier is that we're not legally obligated to do an audit with you or to even speak to you. But what you said, and I need you to clarify this now, because it's very important that we get this right, that you will just write down, I guess, in a logbook that we did not cooperate and that you're just going to make a number up and demand that tax money from us. Is that correct?
Okay. So I'm just going to explain one more time.
No, don't do that, because I've already heard you, and I heard you. You're not answering my questions. I did call you because you threatened us.
Saying that whether your client is going to cooperate, if your client is going to jail, or your client is going to be arrested.
Yeah, will you do that? Will you do that? Just I need to know, will you do that? Will you do that? Can he be arrested and jailed for not cooperating with this audit that you want him to do? Go ahead. Yes or no?
I am not going to discuss your case.
Okay, so that means you have absolutely no authority whatsoever. Okay, all right. So let me ask you this question then.
My name and my phone number, but I don't know. Give me the case number, and I will see if this is my case.
Hold on a second here. We got to get to the bottom of a couple things here, because you're not really in the best of positions right now. You're issuing threats. Now, are you familiar with Section 423 of the Criminal Code of Canada, intimidation? Are you familiar with that one?
I haven't threatened anybody.
Yes, you have. In this letter here, yeah, when you send a grown man into convulsions, that's a threat. And obviously you got the reaction that you were looking for. That's Section 423. That's 5 years in prison upon conviction. So why don't we just have a normal conversation here where you answer my questions so I don't have to go to the courthouse and file criminal charges against you? Let's do it that way. Do you have the power to arrest this man or me or any other human being in Canada if we refuse to cooperate with an audit? Go ahead. Yes or no?
Again, I'm not going to discuss with you unless I have your taxpayer's case number and I see whether you're authorized to speak on your taxpayer's behalf.
I see. Okay,
and
so
if you don't want to speak to me, you can call the customer inquiry and you can discuss with them. Okay. Your client is under audit and my name is there. There's a case number. I can check that on the system whether that is not the taxpayer that I send a letter to. Just because you have my name number and my phone number, that doesn't mean the case is under me.
Yeah, but your name is on the letter. Why would you put your name on a letter if it wasn't me?
Just because you have my name on it, I've done many different audits, so my name and my number can be there.
Okay. Well, hold on. Wait.
You're not providing me your tax.
Okay, you said that's the fifth time you said that. Okay, here, whoa, here, hear me out for a second here. So what it sounds to me like, this is what you tell me if I'm right or wrong.
You can call the.
It sounds to me. It sounds to me like what you do. It sounds to me like what you do is you issue as many threats as you possibly can, and you just pray to God that somebody's afraid enough to fall for the audit. So what you're trying to tell me here is that you're not going to answer my question because CRA cannot force anyone to take an audit, and there is no arrest, there is no jail time because there's no law that says we have to cooperate with an audit. Do I have that right or wrong?
Again, I am not going to discuss with you any further. I don't have the detail of the case. You're not providing me information. So unless you have all the information and you can provide me, we can discuss further and you can call me back. Thank you.
It sounds to me, just out of curiosity, one last question here. The man that collapsed on the floor holding his chest, how do you feel about that after he read your letter? Oh, you hung up. You dirty, dirty person. You hung up the phone. Not good. But that is okay. So you see, everybody, my name is Kevin J. Johnston. CRA staff are cowards. When you go on the attack, just asking them questions, they don't want to answer because they know that they do not have the authority that they say that they do. If you're having any trouble whatsoever with Canada Revenue Agency, get a hold of me right away at kevinjjohnston.com. That's kevinjjohnston.com. And we will get rid of these criminal dirtbag scumlords immediately, because that's exactly what they are. Anybody who issues threats like this to any other human being hiding behind the veil of false authority is a criminal. And let's bring together this agency down to its knees. Oh yeah, looking for Oogie Boogie Bijan Bob, I can't pronounce your name.
Oh, yeah. This is Damola.
What?
Canada Revenue Agency.
Okay.
Oyin.
How do you say your name?
Just the Oyin, the short form. Oyin. Oyin.
I didn't say spell it. I said, how do I pronounce it?
Oyin. The short form is Oyin.
Okay. What's your legal name?
Oyin. Sorry?
Is that your legal name? It looks to me like it's Oyin Damola. Is that how I say it?
Damola, yeah. That's the full name. Yeah.
Very good. This is in reference to account number.
Please hold on. Let me just access my...
And you're going to have to speak a little bit louder, please. I'm not hearing you.
Okay. What's the name of the business?
Well, first off, I'll give you the account number. We're going to go one at a time.
Please hold on. Hold on. Let me access the inventory. I can't easily get that by the business number. Let me access my inventories. So what's the first three numbers?
I have an account number.
Okay. Yeah, I have it. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking to the legal agent of... My name is Kevin J. Johnston, and in reference...
Okay, please hold on. Please hold on. Sorry, I'm just trying to access the main file.
Okay, well, I'm not sure what you're trying to access, but my understanding is that you called my client today and threatened him, and I'd like to ask why you did that. Go ahead.
Please, I need to check if your name is on file for this account.
It is on file. You were sent a letter over 60 days ago.
Sorry?
You were sent a letter by me 60 days ago, and you were also sent other letters back on May the 22nd of this year in reference to a Freedom of Information request, which you have ignored, and also a demand of evidence of any outstanding balances, which you have also ignored. And then today you called my client after ignoring 2 legal notices and threatened him. I'm just trying to understand why you're threatening my client, because I need to determine what we're going to do next at this end. We could either cooperate with CRA politely, or I can simply have you charged criminally. It's entirely up to you. So could you please tell me why you're threatening my client? Go ahead.
Okay. So before I go on, I need to confirm if your name is on his file as authorized person.
Oh, it is. 60 days ago, you were told. 60 days ago, 60 days ago, to the fax number of 1-833-582-3323.
Hello, sir.
It was sent in.
Can you please give me a few minutes? Let me access the main file to check if your name is on the file as authorized person. If your name is not on his file, he needs to give me verbal authorization for you to speak on.
I have informed my client that he is not to speak with you in any way, because regrettably, after you called my client today and threatened him, we know that you're not the kind of individual that we can trust. What I'm trying to tell you here is that we are willing to work with CRA, but every single communication that goes back and forth is going to be in writing only, just like our letters told you. Now, if you're going to lay the claim that you have not seen these letters, I would like to get your official fax number so that I can fax these letters to you. Now, they were sent in to you 60 days ago and now almost 35 days ago, and you have failed to even acknowledge you received them. And I take this very seriously. So I need your direct fax line now, please. Go ahead.
Sir, I'm still trying to access the main file to see if your name is authorized on this account.
I have 2 choices. Okay, I have 2 choices at this point. I can hang up the phone and disappear in a little bit of frustration, or I can hang up the phone and call the police on you. And the police, as you know, may or may not act, but I will go to the courthouse and I will file charges against you for harassment, intimidation, and extortion, which is what you're doing now. So why don't we save you the embarrassment of a criminal charge that you will have to go to court for, and just give me your fax number so that I can send you the appropriate information, and I'll do that today for you. Fax number only. That's all I need. Your official fax number to your desk.
Okay. Your client that gave me your number, that he sent a fax document to me. You can collect the fax number from him. But for this account, I need to confirm that you are authorized.
Okay, then here's what's going to happen. All right, you're not listening. You're not listening. You're quoting. You're not listening. I don't think you understand the law. What you're doing is you're reading CRA policy. Now you have to understand something. I do not work for the Canada Revenue Agency, nor does my client. You do, so you can go ahead and quote policies to anybody else who works for CRA. We are not cooperating with your policies. I'm going to tell you the fax number that I'm going to send the official documentation to you at right now. It will be 1-833-582-3323. If you do not tell me a different number to fax to, that is where you're going to get all information sent to you about this file. Do you understand?
Hello, sir. Can you give me a few minutes? You are disturbing me. Let me access this main file. Okay?
I just want a fax number because at this particular point, it seems like you're about to make a mistake. Will you give me your fax number so we can send you all the legal documentation that you need? That's all I want. Or put it in the notes that the fax will go to 1-833-582-3323. And if you say that's not your fax number, that's too bad, because I have this conversation recorded and you now have been warned several times that you're only going to be communicated with by fax. And that fax is a legitimate fax number for CRA, but it might just not go to your desk. If you want these letters to go to your desk, cooperate now and give me your fax number.
Hello, sir. We don't need to fight or argue about this account.
Yes, we do, because you're not listening. No, we do have to argue about this account because you are not listening. I want your fax number. That's all I want. I don't want to hear anything else out of your mouth.
Patient. If you are a lawyer or not, I don't know, but you need to be patient. I don't know you, and you should not take it as personal.
Well, we don't know you either, but we don't know you either, and you're the one that called my client. She's still talking. She hasn't stopped.
Can you just be patient and lower your voice, and let's deal with this account?
Good. Okay, we'll deal with the account. Fax number, please. Fax number, please. That's all I want. Your fax number, please. Your fax number, please. That's all I want. Your fax number, please.
Okay, for me to put a note on my file for this call, I need to know your name. I need to know. You say you are a lawyer. You are the legal.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I didn't say lawyer.
Okay.
I said agent.
So
I said agent. I said agent. Don't lie to me.
What kind of agent?
I'm an agent under amicus curiae. That's what kind of agent.
Okay. You are agent. What is your name?
K-E-V-I-N. Middle initial J. Last name J-O-H-N-S-T-O-N. Acting as agent for...
This agent, what's the name of your company, please?
It's a numbered corporation.
Hello? That's the name of the company you work with?
What?
You say you are an agent. What kind of agent?
An amicus curiae agent of my client who has hired me to represent him in this matter. Do you not understand what amicus curiae means?
What? Yeah. So what is the name of the company you represent? Can you please spell?
No, I represent my client. I don't represent a company. I represent my client.
What is the name of your own company? You told me your personal name.
Yes.
What's the name of your own company?
Oh, now we're getting somewhere. Canmore Acquisitions.
Acquisition?
Plural. Acquisitions.
Okay.
Can I get your fax number, please?
Sorry, your name is not on the file.
I don't care. I listen, I don't care. I faxed you to 1-833-582-3323. I did that 60 days ago. Then I sent you 2 more letters on May the 22nd of this year. I have all the fax receipts that show that they went through to the CRA. That's all I need in a court of law. If you have specific information you want on this file and you have a fax number you would prefer that I use, I'm giving you the opportunity to save yourself a lot of embarrassment by just giving me the fax number. It's not like it's going to your house. It's going to you at work. Could I have your fax number, please? In the nicest possible way, please, may I have your fax number?
What is the fax number you have? Can you please repeat it?
Oh, I would love to repeat the fax number that I have. 1-833-582-3323.
Okay. And you said your client said I did what? I harassed him, or what did you say?
You threatened him. You called him. You threatened him, and when he refused to speak with you, then you ramped up your negative behavior. Now, I believe him. I don't believe you.
The way you were talking, I thought you were a lawyer. I wonder what you will do if you are.
I'm smarter than every lawyer you've ever met. In the meantime, I just want your fax number. That's all I want. And I'd like to leave at this point because we're now at 12 minutes and 50 seconds in this ridiculous conversation. I'm tired of it already.
Because you were not patient with me. And any account that somebody's name is not on, I cannot speak about the account.
Then just give me your fax number. And you don't have to worry about me anymore. We don't need to speak on the phone ever again. We can do it by fax.
By fax?
I would love to fax you the legal notifications that I have already faxed to you, but then there's a little bit more that I need to fax to you directly. Because at this particular point, my client is terrified of you. So whatever you said, and you're laughing, I think that's repugnant. Why would you do that? Why are you laughing? You're supposed to be a professional. You work for a tax agency, a federal tax agency, and you're laughing when I'm telling you that I have a client that you've threatened and he's afraid of you? How dare you? Fax number, please.
Please hold on. So the same number you provided now, you can go ahead and send any information you have. And once you send them, if you want to give me a call back to give me confirmation number, that will be fine. Because this fax is not directly to me. And I may not receive a prompt after a long time, but if you call me back and tell me that you sent me a fax and you provide confirmation on.
I'm actually not going to do that. I did not particularly care for this conversation. I have not enjoyed any of this. I'm not legally obligated to call you and tell you that I have sent you a fax. Once I have a receipt that the fax went through, that is my entire obligation to you. But what I will tell you is, the letter you're going to receive is going to be a warning, a legal warning to not contact my client by telephone again. And your failure to accommodate that particular request is going to end up with us contacting the police. And if the police do not act, we will go directly to the courthouse and we will file charges there. Do you understand?
Well, you can write to CRA not to contact you, but as for me, so far I submit this file, I don't have anything to do with this file, okay? But CRA can still contact you, and any legal thing you want to do, it will be with CRA, not me. The way you are taking it personal. I work with CRA, and whatever legal action you want to take, you take it against CRA, not me.
Well, it will be you because you're the one making the phone call. You have the option to...
I represent CRA. So any legal action you want to take is not against me, it's against CRA.
Okay, and yes. Now, what you're trying to do is you're trying to tell an expert in law that I don't have the right to file a criminal charge against you for extortion and harassment and intimidation. That one's 5 years in a federal penitentiary, by the way. And you know why you're telling me this? Because you're afraid. Because I have just called you out on your threats and your vile demeanor. You represent a criminal enterprise stealing money from good people, and you're threatening them to do so. And you're also threatening them to do so by telling my client that you're planning on taking his money and his property away. That is extortion. So I have informed my client that no matter what you say...
Was that what he told you? Did I tell him verbally or by written document?
I think at this particular point, you need to comprehend the magnitude of what you're up against. You need to understand that we have the right to file criminal charges. Do not call the client again. Do everything in writing from this day forward. Letters are coming today. You should have them on your desk in the morning if the staff at CRA know what they're doing.
Okay, thank you. Have a nice day.
Have a great day.
Bye.
The Canadian government have put a marker on my head. There's been 7 attempts on my life. They tried to silence me. Obviously, it didn't work. The context for this video that you're about to listen to would be that a client of mine is a good tax-paying citizen in Canada who had a corporation that he was running. And this corporation ended up, because of all the tax policies in Canada, owing $440,000. The Canada Revenue Agency lied to him and said that he must endure a audit. That's right, an audit. And they also told him that he was not allowed to have a lawyer, something that he recorded, I might add. After the audit was complete, they lied to him and said that they were assessing the $164,000 they wanted to get from him. They removed it from his corporate debt and added it to his personal debt. Without a judge's order, I might add. They didn't sue him. They just said that he owed the money. They then proceeded to threaten his employer, stating that they would assess the employer personally and not the corporation if he refused to comply, and garnish this man's wages to the tune of 40% of his entire earning. They also said that they get paid first, and then on top of that, the individual who wrote the letter stated that if there was family court injunctions or family court payments that had to be made, that the Canada Revenue Agency would be overriding that and that they would get their money first. They're overriding a judge's order in that particular statement that they make, but they're doing so without a court order unto itself. So they're utilizing threatening tactics, fraud, extortion, and threats. On top of that, intimidation. That one is 5 years in a federal penitentiary in Canada upon conviction. So I decided to contact the representative whose name is going to appear throughout the entire video. Please don't call her and harass her until further notice. And I talked with her about the fact that if she isn't going to speak to me, which I do have an authorization letter for, that we would simply go to the courthouse and file criminal charges, which, believe me, is still on the table today. The individual in question decides that she wants to tell me that CRA policies somehow outweigh the laws of Canada and that I have to jump through the hoops that she wants me to jump through. Keep in mind, I don't work for the Canada Revenue Agency, so their policies are irrelevant. The law is relevant. This individual here tells me they're not going to put a supervisor on the phone to speak with me because of their policy, but then starts crying and puts the supervisor on the phone anyway. What you're about to hear is the actual conversation, with the only thing being censored out is my client's name, account number, and phone number. Everything else is exactly as it appeared in that conversation initially.
Canada Revenue Agency, Diane Moore speaking.
Looking for Diane Moore?
Speaking.
Hi, Diane. My name's Kevin J. Johnston. I'm calling on behalf of... You were faxed a letter 3 days ago authorizing me to speak on his behalf.
I am so sorry. I can hardly understand anything that you're saying. So if I'm on speakerphone, maybe you want to hold the handset instead, because I'm missing half the words you're saying.
Are you on speakerphone currently?
No, I am not.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Very vaguely.
How about now? Can you...
I hear a lot of echoing in the background. I still hear echoing in the background.
Okay, well, we're going to have to put up with this for now, unfortunately. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. I'm speaking on behalf of my client.
Okay.
I sent you a letter 3 days ago, or rather he did, authorizing me to speak on his behalf.
Okay, so did you send it to our inquiries line? Because I don't change the authorizations. Inquiries line does, actually.
Well, that's up to you. Whatever fax number we had provided to us is what we used. I'm not interested in how your internal workings are going to work in your favor or not.
I'm sorry. Is there a reason why you're speaking to me in the tone in which you are? Because I'm not going to continue this conversation if it continues this way.
All right, look, I'm not
So
giving.
I'm not giving
you. Please don't talk over me.
If you want to change the authorization, you need to go through individual inquiries. I can actually provide you the number. You can call there, and then you can have them instruct you on how to do it.
Would you? Okay, can I got to ask you. Okay, you've been talking over top of me now for the last minute. I'd just like to say that if you prefer, what I could do is we can go to the courthouse instead and file private information against you. I'm trying to avoid criminal charges here. What I want to do is
I'm a little confused. I'm trying to tell you how to make sure that you can become a representative for him. So I can check the account right now to see if you are, but if you're not a legal rep, then I cannot speak to you any further. So I will check right now while you're on the phone.
All right. Well, I've got a limited amount of time on this. It's going to be cheaper for my client just to go to the courthouse and charge you. So
that's fair on your part, but I'm sorry. On our policies and procedures, I cannot speak to you any further until I can verify that you are actually an authorized rep.
Why don't you give me your email address and I'll send the letter to you right now?
I'm sorry. We don't provide our email addresses.
Why would that be?
And I'm sorry. Can you just say your name again?
Kevin, middle initial J, last name Johnston.
Sorry, could you just say it for me now?
Kevin J. Johnston.
And you are from where again?
From Canada. And I represent my client here under amicus curiae.
Sorry. So is the business in which you work for, is that the name of the business then?
The business I work for is Canmore Acquisitions.
Okay, so yes, you are not registered as someone I could speak with. You're not an authorized rep, so unfortunately I cannot discuss this account with you any further.
Okay, so you're just in case I'm not clear on anything here, based on the fact that you sent a letter to my client's employer stating that...
I cannot discuss the letter with you.
Okay,
I'm
so...
sorry, unfortunately, because of Cops 5, this is his information, and unless he's got authorization to give you, to provide us, I cannot discuss this account with you.
Okay, so just out of curiosity... Okay, then why don't you do this? Why don't you get a supervisor on the phone, and I can send this letter right now by email.
I can have a supervisor call you within...
Not interested in having a call back because...
With your phone number?
Not interested in having a call back. I'd like to talk to a supervisor now, please.
I'm sorry, that's our policy. So if you
I'm not interested. Hey, well, again.
Call you back in 2 days.
Maybe Diane, I don't think you're understanding the magnitude of the situation here. I'm in possession of these letters. You can explain your policies to somebody else who works for the CRA. I do not work for the CRA. You are bound by the same laws of Canada that I am. And this letter that you have written here is full of threats. There's extortion. Okay.
Unfortunately, unless you have authorization from Bob Allen, and I
so
see you as
just all I need then just one answer to one question. Stop talking! Jesus Christ! Would you rather I just We're going to the courthouse. We're going to the courthouse.
I've already explained to you 3 times now. I cannot.
Criminal charges are coming. Congratulations on quote. Criminal charges are coming, Diane. Criminal charges are coming. You're not frightening anybody with your talk. I'm trying to keep you out of prison. Do you want to go to prison, Diane? I'm trying to explain the law to you, Diane, and you're talking about a corporate policy, which is not going to trump Canadian law, Diane. Diane, you're still talking over me. It's incredibly rude to do so. I'm asking you if you would rather just deal with this like adults, without the police involvement and without the courts subpoenaing you to appear before them, or would you rather we just go to the courthouse and file criminal charges against you?
I'm not sure what you're actually talking about. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
Which is the problem, because you're not listening. Because you're not listening.
Unless you are an authorized rep.
I am an authorized rep. I've got the letter right here. And as a result of me having that letter and you refusing to speak to me about it, you have a copy of it. You are refusing to deal with me. I've got the authorization letter. That's all I need is evidence.
I am absolutely 100% not refusing. I'm actually telling you that we are not authorized to speak to somebody unless
then if you give me your personal fax number,
your
personal fax number, I could send it to you right now, keep you on the phone with me, and we can have this conversation.
You're going to need to actually call the individual inquiry line because
I will not be doing that because that is a policy. That's an internal policy. That is an internal policy of the CRA. I do not work for the CRA, but you and I have to abide by the law. So, Diane, how about you just get me a fax number or an email address? I'll send you the letter right now, and we can finish this call, and this way we can keep you out of handcuffs. Okay? How do you want to do this?
Okay, you know what, sir? I'm going to have to ask you one more time. I can give you the individual inquiries line for you to call.
And I'm going to tell you again, maybe probably not one more time. I am not going to be calling anybody else because I do not care about the CRA's policies. I do not work for the corporation known as Canada Revenue Agency. You do.
Then I can't help you any further.
Okay, so then you would prefer that we go to the courthouse and file charges. Is that what you're after? You just tell me. Just say yes or no. Do you want charges?
I'm sorry, I'm not answering that question. I'm sorry, sir. You're maybe going to have to go and look up the procedures and policies at CRA.
I am well aware of Canada Revenue Agency's policies. No, I am not interested in that because I do not work for you. I do not work for the CRA. Do you understand? I don't work for the CRA. You do. The problem is...
I even thought that you did, actually.
I'm
not sure why you're saying that. What I'm trying to do is tell you how you can become an authorized rep.
If
you want to follow those
no. What you're trying to do now,
otherwise, I can't.
Okay, so why don't I just go to the courthouse then? Is that look? I just need to know because if we go to the courthouse, keep this in mind. That's funnier. That's funnier. Okay, you in handcuffs after what you've done to my client here, but with false representation. Are you familiar actually with Section 423 of the Criminal Code, intimidation? This letter you wrote is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. Nobody on the planet would ever write something so foolish. So are you going to tell me that someone else wrote this or that you wrote this? You want to blame your boss or you want to take accountability for it? Your call. Let me hear this. Here, listen to this. Listen to this. You're stating that this letter explains how to calculate the amount you must withhold to meet the terms specified in the attached requirement to pay issued against. All right. And then you say, on the requirement to pay, we are asking you, not telling, but asking you to deduct 40% of net salary or wages. Then you proceed to say, if income is subject to a family court order, please call you right away at the number shown on the requirement to pay before deducting the amount. Are you seriously stating that you can override court orders? Wow. Hold on, there's more here. If you do not follow the requirement to pay, we may have to assess you personally for the amount that you were required to pay. You are threatening somebody with an assessment of taxes who is a director of a corporation, but you're still writing a letter to a corporation. This is intimidation. This is extortion. This is fraud over $5,000. This is harassment. All right. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with tort harassment law. That's the most recent one from last year. You are in trouble. So why don't you talk to me now and let's deal with this issue, or we will put our suits on and meet you in the courthouse when you make your first appearance. How do you want to play this?
Hi. Sorry, I'm just joining this call. I don't have a lot of information on the call, though. Can you tell me your name?
Oh, absolutely. My name is Kevin, Kevin. My middle initial is J. My last name is Johnston, Johnston. And I am calling on behalf of my client, whom 3 days ago, we collectively faxed you an authorization letter for me to be able to speak on your behalf. The individual I've just spoken to has said that I'm not authorized to speak on her behalf, but when I indicated that I was going to either speak to her maturely about this letter or we're going to go to the courthouse and lay a private information, that's criminal charges, that's when she got a little bit nervous. I would rather avoid that. However, we are fully prepared to do so because it's going to look very bad on CRA. What I would like to do is address this letter that was sent to my client's employer, which is fraught with misinformation because the assessment that you did was actually incorrect. And I have a copy of that assessment. I have all the communications that went back and forth. This is also going to be a very big lawsuit if we can't rectify this in the next couple of days. All my client wants to do is feed his family, and right now his paychecks are going to be negative. So how do we proceed at this particular point? I did ask for an email address or a fax number, and I'll send that authorization letter again right this minute.
Okay, we do not accept emails, so that is not an option. We do have a fax number. I don't have that fax number available right now. However, once we receive that information, I'll make sure that somebody calls you back here.
And again, I'm really not all that interested in a callback.
Somebody that knows the fax machine.
Okay, I'm not really interested in a callback. What I'm interested in doing is just discussing this letter.
Do you have a fax number for collections that I can borrow?
We actually don't take faxes at this end because we do everything through either email or courier. I either want the hard copies or I want the digital copies. That's how we do things here, which is legal, by the way.
Unfortunately, we do not accept email. So we do accept fax machines, but we do not accept emails.
Okay. Could I kindly ask your name, please, your badge number and your fax number, and I'll fax you right now.
Okay. 1 second. I'm just getting the fax machine so the authorization can be sent.
Wonderful news.
I do not have a fax number. I am a manager.
Thank you.
So the fax number is 1-877-984-6838. We'll have the clerical monitor the authorization form, and once that's received, we'll have most likely a team leader call you back.
There are no phone numbers on this letter that I'm going to be sending you. There's simply the authorization to do so. And I was hoping that you could read this now and speak to me now because I just so happened to have blocked off an hour for you to review this. I didn't think it was going to take more than an hour to review this. There's not really much to go through.
Without authorization, without authorization, we can't talk about anything. So if that information comes and I will let you know I don't have accesses to systems. I will have a team leader call you back to go through the information. So I'll have clerical keep an eye out for that and get them to call you back.
I think at this particular point, we should abide by the law to the letter of the law. Now, here's where we are running into a little bit of problem. For your staff member there, this Ms. Doan, as her name is. First off, she's written a legal notification here and purporting to be a lawyer, which means I will be contacting, if I need to, the Law Society to file a complaint. That's a $20,000 fine. But then proceeds to break 3 laws in the first letter and 1 in the second letter. And everything that she is doing is based on an assessment that was done when my client was forced, and I'm going to use the word forced, into an audit without first being informed that he had the right to remain silent and that he had the right to legal counsel. And when my client stated, and we have the conversation recorded, that he wanted legal counsel, CRA told him, no, you cannot have legal counsel. Now that is a problem as well. So this issue that we have here, where we have what you are referring to as an arm's length debt of $164,000, that's not anything more than just a statement on your part. That is not a court order. You did not sue my client. I looked his name up in Canley. He's not there. You did not file any motions. And you don't have a judge's order, nor do you have an endorsement. You just went ahead and threatened my client and the employer. After putting this assessment forward, that was improperly done because it was not personal income, it was corporate income. And I know this because I worked with not 1 but 2 tax lawyers on this whole thing. And it turns out that your assessment is actually borderline unlawful. So all we want to do is get rid of this $100,000 you've got, move it back to the corporation where it was originally, and remove the garnishment on this thing and have the garnishment refunded to my client. And you do all that, then we do not need to go to the courthouse and file criminal charges, nor do we need to file a lawsuit. We are going to simply say thank you very much for your time and then proceed to finish my client's file off properly. We're not looking for a free lunch here. We're looking to have you abide by the same laws that we do. The facts is underway. It's on its way right now to you, by the way. So could I get an answer to my question and or statement, please?
I cannot provide anything because I do not have access to any of the information.
Very well.
To look at it.
Here's my counter proposal for you.
Unfortunately,
here's my counter offer.
I will have to have a team leader gather the information and give you a call back.
No, we're not.
I don't have access to
at this
any
point,
of this information.
At this point, because I did ask for a supervisor and it took a painful amount of time to get you on the phone, what I would like to do is book a time where I will call and I would like to speak to Diane Moore. That is MOAR, badge number 1251. I'd like to speak to her about this entire assessment so that we can iron this thing out without involving the courts, the police, and criminal charges. Is that something that we could do? I am quite content to book a time with you on Monday that suits her.
I'm not sure if I want to involve her with this. I might have a team leader give you a call back just because right now she seems a little bit frazzled by what you've been saying to her and how you've been saying it to her and almost
how I've been saying it to her and what I've been saying to her. So I just let her know, just so you know.
I'm going to wait for your fax machine. I'm going to wait for a fax. And what time works for you on Monday?
I will go ahead and ask if I could have 1 p.m. Central Time, please.
So 1 p.m., where are you? What province?
I am in Central Time. We will go with Central Time Canada. This whole thing stemmed from Central Canada.
Okay. So what I will do is once I get this authorization information, I'll provide it to a team leader who will call you back on Monday at 1 p.m. Okay?
Okay, and we're going to ask that you're not late with that call because I only have 1 hour at that time.
I will let them know that that's the time you're available, and they will give you a call.
Okay, now as for Diane Moore, who seems to be frazzled, the only reason that she's frazzled is because she broke the law. All right, now I'm going to just encourage. I'm going to encourage you.
In collection, so I would beg to differ, but again, I have no information. So it's very protocol and structured, and the way we follow things. So I can't say that she has done anything improper.
Okay.
So, and unfortunately, like I said, I will have a team leader review the information and give you a call back on Monday at 1 p.m.
Very good. And I'm also going to ask that you discontinue all phone calls to my client. Been instructed by me to call 911 if any of you call him. So this is getting pretty serious. I just want you to know that you must follow our protocol, which is not our protocol. It's the protocol of the laws of Canada. And I'm sure you know that, having worked for the government.
As long as the authorization form comes and it's prompt, they will call you back. Okay?
Very good.
So
and now, as I also had explained,
information and it shows that you have authorization, a team leader will call you back on Monday.
As I explained to you, I did not put my phone number on that authorization letter because my client is not me. My client is my client. The authorization letter came from my client. I have to give you my phone number if I could, please.
What is your phone number then?
Yes.
Okay, we'll wait for your authorization.
Okay, and I'm just going to ask one last thing. Please abide by Canadian law. Let's avoid embarrassment for you. Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, take care.
You too.
Bye.
Bye now. And there you have it. You'll find that it's not me issuing any particular type of threat. I'm simply telling them what we're going to do. If the Canada Revenue Agency does not want to cooperate and have a polite and adult conversation with me, then we have no choice but to go to the courthouse and file criminal charges against this individual, which, quite frankly, I'm hoping is the end result. I hope that when I speak with these people, that they refuse to cooperate so that we do file criminal charges, at which point we have absolute privilege to tell you the entire detail of the entire case. And each and every one of you out there needs to understand the Canada Revenue Agency are not a police force. They have no authority of any kind, but the courts do. Don't be a free man on the land person. Just use the courts against these people. And if you need to know how, simply contact me below, book a 1-hour consultation at the website address below. I can't wait to speak with you, and I can't wait to start getting CRA representatives locked up for crimes against we, the good people of Canada. Good evening, everybody. This is Wednesday night. My name is Kevin J. Johnston. This is the Real Estate and Money Show. You'll find me here every single Wednesday. That's right, every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And there's just too many time zones around the world now for me to name the time in each and every one. I'm here in Panama right now in the Central Time Zone, and I could not be happier. I've had myself a really good time talking to the locals down here, being treated very well by the locals here. And I have some really good news, which is why I'm not interviewing anyone tonight, mainly because I've been all over the country today asking questions of my own. And I think all of you who have been watching my show for the last 7 years know that I have questions for everybody. I'm just this endless pit of questions. They don't stop. They never stop. If I really wish that I had 4, 5, 6, 7 hours sometimes to question everybody when I'm looking for the information that not only I need, but my clients need, that all of you need. So Coco, you're asking me, why did I go to Panama? First off, I always wanted to go to Panama ever since I was 6. Remember the Bugs Bunny episode? I've told the story before. I'm telling it again. Bugs Bunny gets angry because he sees that rabbit skins are only worth 2 cents. All right. So he goes out of his way to prove to the American government that he's worth millions of dollars in a bounty. So he wanted to have the highest possible bounty on the head of a rabbit. And in the cartoon, he goes to the Panama Canal and steals the locks. Now, I didn't get the joke because I'm 6. Bugs Bunny's dancing around with big locks going, I got him. But I decided, because my parents had this collection, this massive collection of encyclopedia books on the wall, I grabbed the Encyclopedia Britannica, letter P, opened it up, and I read about Panama on my own. I was able to read when I was 6, and I was blown away at the idea of a canal that was dug by men with pickaxes that lets big ships go through. So I've wanted to see Panama since I was 6. That's almost 40 years. 7 weeks ago now, I got absolutely fed up with the high prices in Costa Rica. The cost of everything there, it just got to me. It got to me. I went out for dinner with my friends, and a hamburger and fries was $19.95 US. US. Here in Panama, I don't even spend $20 US a week to fill my fridge. Now, I bought bacon today. here in Panama. This big, that thick, all right? This big and that thick. I bought bacon. I bought lettuce fixings. I bought, Gatorade, which I shouldn't drink, but I bought some Gatorade. I bought a whole whack of things. It was $15. It's 3 days worth of food and drink for $15. So I had enough of Costa Rica. It got to me. That kind of pricing, when the only industry that I could possibly make money in there was real estate. San Jose is a cool town, but San Jose does not have the opportunities that Panama City has. Panama City is absolutely more like Miami than San Jose could ever possibly be. So that was it. I couldn't afford the rent anymore. There was no money coming in. And as opposed to Panama, where everybody helps you, Costa Rica, all the Canadians and Americans down there, they were starting to just ask me for money. Everyone was like, they had their hands out saying that they want money for everything. And I kept telling them, no. I was starting to get rude. I don't like to swear. I don't like to bark at people and tell them that, no, you're being belligerent, you're being rude, and you're being selfish, and I'm not interested. I just don't want to talk to people like that. So I came to Panama, and this brand new world opened up to me where people were willing to help me, to work with me, to not only work with me, but help me acquire my dreams, acquire places to stay, acquire the knowledge base to purchase food at the right prices I was looking to do. Like, everyone in Panama has been helping me, whereas everybody in Costa Rica was taking from me. So I'm thrilled beyond belief to be in Panama now. It was a lifelong dream to come and see the canal, which I've done. I've been to every lock now on the canal, watching ships go through. I've crossed all the bridges coming in or going over top of the canal. And I've been dealing with a lot of people who are working for the canal or for the construction companies building a new bridge over the canal and building a tunnel underneath it. It's amazing. There's just that much money floating around, and the people here are serious about making money. Now, I got Coco de Coco. Can I speak Spanish? No, not in sentences. No español. So for me, it's a lot of gracias, amigo. All right, ¿cómo está? Just excited, smiling. I'm piecing together small things here and there. I'm actually able to order food off the menu now and not stumble through the order, but I'm not walking into a room and speaking Spanish to everybody. I have an interpreter that I've hired who goes with me everywhere I need to go to interpret the important stuff, like today. Okay. Do I plan to learn Spanish? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I'm planning on staying in Panama for a very long time. I'm planning on doing business in Panama here, but I'm also planning on checking out the rest of Latin America. I've been to Costa Rica and Mexico now. I'm going to check out El Salvador and see what opportunities that there are there, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to be living here in Panama for quite some time. I will be checking out Colombia. I've been invited to stay in Medellin for a little while. I'm going to head down there for just a couple of weeks, have a look. And I've been invited down to Buenos Aires in Argentina. Check out how that's working. I want to be able to do the research that needs to get done, because Canadians, Americans, Brits, and Australians are being ripped off completely ripped off in every walk of life. It's getting completely and totally out of control. Nobody can do anything. Sorry, I just got to wipe this camera off. Nobody can really make any money. They can't get anything rocking. Canada stifles you. Give you an idea what I'm talking about. I've been in Panama. It's not even 2 months yet. I've been in Panama, not even 2 months. I've already upped my salary to $30,000 a month. Can't do that in Canada. I wasn't even making $18,000 a year in Canada, because Canada gets in your way. Canada is not about commerce. It's about rules. It's about the absolute destruction of masculinity and the destruction of commerce. I remember doing a video about 2 years ago on all 19 steps you have to go through to open up a bar or a restaurant in Toronto. 19 steps. Now there's more now. This was 2 years ago. And each step, you have to get approval from some idiot that works for the city or works for the province of Ontario or works from works for some branch of government who can get in your way. You've got 19 chances to be stopped by a government employee from opening up your business. Now, I've got some questions here about Panama. Laura Lee's asking, is Panama dangerous for a white woman to live on her own? No, but I wouldn't live in certain parts of the city. You would want to live central, like right downtown in the banking district, very clean, very safe. Lots of single women there. Lots of single women there. Or you can head over to the east side where you've got a mall, a big mall called the Town Center. The mall is brand new. It's gorgeous, has a built-in hospital, movie theater, bowling alley. It's got everything. There's a lot like girls, 10-year-old girls walk alone in those neighborhoods. So you want to make sure if you're going to be living in Panama City that you pick the center or the east side of town. Don't go too far north and don't go too far west. I'm right on the cusp of what they call dangerous town and safe town. But that for me, I'm a man who knows how to fight. I'm also a man who is not nervous when approached by people outside in the dark. And I'm a man who doesn't take unnecessary risks. So I'm fine in the neighborhood that I'm in. I like the neighborhood that I live in because there's always something going on. I don't want to be around boring. I want to be around action and excitement. And in this area, Casco Viejo, there are parties every night. People are dancing outside in the streets every night. There's soccer games in the middle of the road every night. And if you want to play soccer, just walk a couple blocks over. Someone's playing soccer somewhere. It's always a good time. A lot of people you can talk to and have a good time with. Okay. All right. So Coco Dioko, Canada gains. Alrighty. Yeah, we got to address that. So that's what we're talking about tonight is taxes. So let's just dive right into this new capital gains tax. Capital gains. Here's the way it works in Canada. If you have a house, your own house, and you live in it, which means your driver's license and your banking statements and everything go to that house, it's considered your principal residence. If you sell it, you don't pay capital gains. You pay nothing because it's your principal residence. But if you go out and you buy two houses and you rent one out and you sell the house that you're not living in, you're supposed to, I think, I wouldn't, but you're supposed to declare capital gains because it's considered a business. I tell everyone the same thing. If you're a married couple and you have a second property and you're foolish enough to put it in your own name, fine. Husband lives in one house, according to driver's license. Wife lives in other house, according to driver's license. That's right. Just one of you has a driver's license at the other house. And that way, the husband has a principal residence on one side and the wife has a principal residence on the other side. And congratulations, there's no capital gains tax. But now let me be honest with you here. Let's say you did own two houses. Let's say in Canada, you sold the second house. Do you know when you pay the capital gains? The following year when you do your taxes in April, if you're silly enough to go to a bad accountant and then have that accountant write the capital gain on your tax return, at which point you're giving money away for what? For nothing. You don't report your capital gains. Why would you do that? What will happen here is the CRA might say that we want to assess you. Fine. So the Canada Revenue Agency will maybe assess you and say, well, we think you owe more tax. So you reassess their assessment. And you do it with an affidavit. I train people on how to do this all the time. You swear the affidavit in like this dumb gesture, and you send that in with your assessment. And if they come back saying that they're not happy with that assessment, you appeal it and you take it to tax court. So about a year later, then the appeal gets heard in tax court. And then we start playing games with getting disclosure. Now, I've got 5 clients of mine in tax court right now, all of whom have appeals coming up next month, and none of them have received their disclosure packages yet. I will be representing all of these people in tax court, and I'm going to simply say, according to case law, RV Stinchcomb, this case cannot continue because my client does not have disclosure. The only way for the CRA to know about your capital gains is if you tell them. You have the right to remain silent in Canada. That means Don't talk to anybody. Keep your mouth shut. Shh. You buy look, doesn't matter what you buy. You buy a new ring, put it on if it makes you feel good. Don't walk around saying, guys, look what I have. Look at this. Don't do that. If someone notices, good for them. But don't advertise what you have. Oh, I went to the casino last night and I won $60,000 on roulette. Why would you do that? Shut up. Why are you telling your friends these things? Hey, what if your friend gets jealous and calls the CRA on you? And the CRA is going to come out saying, "Oh, we understand you won some money." All right. What are you going to tell them? Do you honestly think you're going to get points for being honest? Well, yeah, I did. I won $65,000, but I got to repair my roof and I got to fix my basement. They don't care. They just want your money. Shut up. Shut up. But be quiet about things. If I won 65 grand, I'm not telling anyone. And I mean, nobody. I'm going to invest that money the way that I see fit to do so. And the only time that even my kids find out about it is when I'm dead. I'll write that down, a little note that my lawyer will give them upon my death. And they'll find out that on June 3rd of whatever year, I won whatever money on whatever gambling table. And by the way, kids, you're welcome. I invested it for you. All right. That's how I see it. You got to shut up about everything. So when the CRA begins asking you questions, you gotta stop talking. Contact me. If you're not brave enough to throw the legalese at them, call me. Get a hold of me. I'll represent you. I'll send the letters out, and then we will go to town and attack them. Now, as for your capital gains, Coco, I want to finish off my thought here. Capital gains also come when somebody buys or has a corporation and you own a property or a classic car, or stocks or bonds or gold or silver. The capital gains are when the corporation sells the house or the building or the garage or whatever it is for a profit. What you're supposed to do, according to the CRA, but not according to me, is the following year, you report your taxes. We sold our house. Oh, and the new tax is 66%. 66% on your earnings. If you earn $1 million, 66%, the government wants $660,000. It's your money. It's your investment. That's your profit. Why would you report that? Shut up. I swear to you, it's you that screws you in the tax game. Well, if you're worried about it, what you do is you sell your corporation to me. You contact me. You get a hold of me and I will buy your corporation from you. Here's how it works in law. I do what's called stock purchasing. You got a corporation, you sell it to me. I take all the stock. I take all your liabilities, everything. You sell it to me. And then the CRA can chase me for your capital gains. So long as you sell me your corporation prior to you doing your taxes the following tax year, you're off the hook, man. That's how it works. Let the CRA come and get me. Yes, I make a bit of money doing this. Not much, but I make a bit of money doing this. So it's not like I'm doing this free out of the goodness of my heart. It is a career for me, but it doesn't change the fact that you can give the government 66% of your profit, or you can give me next to nothing. It's entirely up to you. So stop talking. And if you have an accountant that tells you that you must report capital gains, that person is not on your side. They're either stupid or they're malicious. Get rid of them. Fire them. You got to talk to me first. I'm not licensed, so it doesn't matter that I'm telling you all the loopholes and all the tricks and all the ways to circumnavigate the law, because I have no license to lose. There is absolutely nothing that the CRA can do aside from phone me up once in a while and complain. They've been crank calling me, by the way. The CRA knows my phone number. They've been crank calling me today. I think the staff are angry with me, so they just phone me. Because when I call the number back after nobody talks, it's the CRA. They're cranking me. They don't talk when I answer the phone. How immature could they be? That's the type of people that you're dealing with the Canada Revenue Agency. People that will crank call me because I'm making them look stupid online. Okay, what's my opinion on Mexico? I find Mexico on the West Coast, if you're in the Baja Peninsula of Mexico, There's cheap land there. It's really cheap, but it's very Mexican. So if you're not the kind of person that adopts to new cultures well, if a new culture is something that you are upset by, or you don't see the merit in being away from the familiar and living in the unfamiliar, then Baja is probably not for you. Puerto Vallarta is very much like a Florida town. Puerto Vallarta actually feels like St. Petersburg, but it's getting expensive. That's the problem. Everybody wants to be there. And as a result of it, they're pricing themselves out of the market. It's like Western Costa Rica. There's just too much money. There's just way too much money coming in, and it's coming in way too quickly. And as a result of that, there are houses now that you just can't afford. I work with a really good guy out there, Clayton. He's been on my show a number of times, and he will help you find the house that you're looking for. My personal thoughts are it's too much cost for what the town is. On the East Coast, however, in Playa del Carmen and in Cancun, there's still a lot of really affordable places. And if you're going to be opening up some kind of tourist business out there, you can do quite well. But I don't see the opportunities there that I see here in Panama. So if you're looking to retire, Mexico is great. Absolutely. And if you are rich and you're looking to retire, the West Coast of Costa Rica is great, but you got to be rich. It's not cheap. So expect to spend $4,000 per month US to live, because the food is really pricey. Like my favorite yogurt there is 3,000 colones, which is $6 US, which is $9 Canadian, $9 Canadian for yogurt. All right. So Panama, I'm here for money. I'm here for business. I am here running a medical corporation now, and I'm also running my tax business from here in Panama. It is astounding. It is amazing. And what I love the most is that when I ask to speak to a national bank manager like I did today, within 3 hours, I had a meeting at one of the biggest banks in the city. And we chatted for an hour. I got all the answers I was looking for. So we're going to address banking in just a minute here, but I do want to check the questions in the room. Are there many Americans and Canadians in Panama? Sí, señorita, there are. But the gringo community here in Panama City, it's a bit more sparsely. Oh, well, thank you very much for the heart. I appreciate that. It's a bit spread out, only because Panama City is a big city. Half the country's population lives in Panama City, so it's tougher to find white skin here. The gringos are here, but they're tougher to find. However, if you go to Coronado or Buquete or David, in those three cities, there's white skin everywhere. There's expats everywhere. There's Americans and Canadians of all races there. I say white skin, just because it adds emphasis to what I'm talking about. So what I'm saying to you here is that, yes, they are here. And after I'm done promoting Panama for the next year, which the government's not paying me to do yet, there'll be a lot more. And when I say there'll be a lot more, there will be people that want to have access to the beach, which you do here, to the canal, which they do here, to a major international airport. PTY is a serious player as far as airports go. They might want cosmopolitan life, which you can have right downtown Panama City. You might want to have the house life, which you can do just outside the city. You want to live on a resort, you can do that too. Panama's got everything you could possibly need, especially if you're thinking about retirement. You could retire here and do incredibly well, and very well. After the show is over, there's a sweet lady. She's got a barbecue on the same block that my building is on. I'm going to go outside, and she is going to give me a half chicken with beans and rice and some lentil and a nice hot sauce, and she's going to do it all for $3. Yeah. Every time I walk by, she yells out, "Oh, gringo here. Hey, chicken." She like, pollo is how you say chicken here, but she says chicken for me because she gets a kick out of the fact that this foreign guy always comes over and patronizes her little barbecue business. And actually, it's really cool too, because all the cops eat there. There's a lot of cops that hang around this particular corner because there are brand new gentrification projects going on here. But there's also a municipal soccer field where some of the semi-pro guys will play and train. So sometimes you get soccer idiots showing up. So the police are there keeping control of it, which is pretty good. Coco, how do you not declare? Oh, sorry, you're talking about your capital gains tax. If you're worried about that, you contact me. I'm going to show you how you do not ever declare any earnings on your properties. Those are your properties. It's not theirs. You know what Justin's going to do with the money, right? He's going to give it to the Ukraine. He's going to give it to Israel. He's going to give it to Nigeria. He's going to hand it over to Eritrea. These countries don't deserve our money. They don't do anything for us. I don't care about these countries. None of us should. So why give it to them? What if you inherit a house? Keep your mouth closed. That's a good question. If someone in your family dies and passes off a house to you, you do not ever contact the CRA. Ever. Not even the next tax year. Let it go. What you got to do is make sure that you close the entire estate. Drain the bank accounts of the deceased. If they've got credit cards, maybe you could accidentally ramp them up to absolute final ending, pay for their funeral on their own credit cards before you shut them all down. Don't be in a panic. Don't be in a hurry, but shut everything down. If the CRA comes calling, that's when you can contact me. I'll send in the appropriate letter stating that we are terribly sorry, but that person has deceased or is deceased and has no assets to show for it. And I'll make the claim that I worked closely with the estate and could not find anything of value. That's all. And then they can come and attack me because they'll be told to leave you alone. Don't contact the CRA. When my father died in 2008, the first thing my mother did was call the CRA. Oh, my son, my husband died. Why? The man's body wasn't even cold yet, and she was already calling the CRA because in her friggin' head, she thought the CRA needed to know this stuff. She thought there was some law that said pay a dead man's taxes before the body's cold. He wasn't even in the freezer in the hospital yet, and she had already called the CRA, and they screwed her big time. So, ladies, and I'm going to address the women now, and I don't care how offended you are by what I'm going to say. Smarten up. Grow up. Your emotional state is going to get in your own way when it comes to money. It will screw you every single time. If you know that you're going to be distraught when dealing with the death of a loved one, and I'm always sorry when that happens, but it does happen, remove yourself from the estate completely. Hand it over to a man that you trust who hates the CRA and is not really a fan of the government, and let him work with you over the course of the time that it takes. Because you can't make this excuse, ladies. This is your money. It's your future. When you make the excuse, oh, I had a weak moment. Do you know who you're screwing? It's not just you. It's your kids. You're robbing them of their inheritance because of your fear. Your fear sucks, and you need to keep it to yourself. Fear is the most useless emotion since human beings became the apex predators in the world. What is hunting us? Can you name one animal that actually actively goes out and hunts human beings specifically because they are human beings? There's none. Even sharks that bite into humans do not like the taste of human flesh. That's why most humans survive a shark bite. There's just nothing out there killing us, attacking us. So what are you afraid of? A letter? A letter from someone named Unfufu who has been in the country for 4 months and doesn't even understand what they're sending you in the mail? Just get a hold of me. I'll take care of them. That's what you do. Don't use excuses that you had a weak moment. Do not talk to the Canada Revenue Agency unless you're doing it in writing only. And to top all that off, everybody listening right now, if you've got one of those stupid Canada.ca accounts on the website where you can file your taxes online because it's so convenient, shut it down. Shut it down. Do you know why that is there? It's not to help you. It's to help them. Because if they have to serve you a legal document, you only get 15 days to reply. That's all you get. And if they serve it to you in the My Account, it's called MY Account. If they serve it to you there, the clock starts ticking from the moment they upload the file. How often you log into your My account, your Canada Revenue Agency account, to see what's in there? You never do. So you're going to get screwed. You make them find you in writing and either mail you or courier you letters. And then we are going to get together and we're going to fight them off. Shut down your My Canada account and do it now, because you're screwing yourself. All right, here we go. More. Would you have to pay capital gains if you inherit a house? Not until you sell it. But if you're going to take a house over from an inheritance, put it in a numbered corporation. And if you don't know how to do that, that's fine. I do. Get a hold of me, and that's exactly what I will do. We will get it into a holding company that you will never pay capital gains taxes on, because you're going to do what I'm telling you now, and you're going to do what I was explaining to everybody in the last tax seminar that I did. JJ says, listening to me is painful. Well, JJ, no one asked you to come. You're welcome to leave anytime. What about crypto capital gains? How would they know? If you've got a 10-digit password for your wallet, like you should have, or your 10-word phrase for your wallet, like you should have, who would know what you make in crypto? CRA finds out when you tell them. And that's it. Shut up. Quiet. Be quiet. Don't say a word. Exercise your right to remain silent. Never tell them that. Am I a lawyer? Nope. I would never join any bar association in Canada. They are disgusting and repugnant pile of poop is what they are, all of them. I can't stand the legal societies. I hate lawyers, for the record. There are 3 that I respect. The rest, honestly, can rot. I have no use for any of them. Lawyers are not individuals who have any set skills that are useful outside of a courtroom. And courtrooms only exist because we, the people, don't understand what they are. If we started understanding what they are, we would start shutting them down and living life being free of that particular system. No, I'm not a lawyer, but I often defeat lawyers, quite often defeat lawyers in negotiations and court settlements, because I know more about the law than they do. Why? I took an interest in law at a very young age. I've had a personal vendetta against the Canada Revenue Agency since I was 6. Count it, 6 years old. I despise them. They really do hurt people. Okay. I'm just going to get rid of this JJ guy, everybody. I don't need guys like that around. Let's just block them. Bye. There we go. We don't normally get trolls on this show, but when we do, we just get rid of them. So we apologize for that. Okay. And I'm just going to read more of your questions here, everybody. Thanks, Joseph, for the heart. I do appreciate it. Just check it. There's a lot of questions here. You remind me of Better Call Saul. That's actually pretty funny. Yeah, I finally actually broke down and watched a couple episodes of that show. I don't have time for TV shows, but I watched 3 episodes. It was pretty good. What is your advice if the CRA claims that CERB needs to be repaid? Excellent question. What you do is you get a hold of me. I send them off the appropriate letter. It's a legal letter stating that they must prove. We give them 15 days to show you evidence that you owe CERB. They tell you that you're guilty until proven innocent. They tell you you have to prove that you deserved it. It's all on you. We want you to spend your time and your money proving to us that you're not guilty. Well, that's not how it works. What you have to do is you let them know you're making an accusation and you have no legal basis to do so. But if you do, we're going to give you 15 days to prove it to us. And on day number 15, you're within your rights to sue them. I've got a ton of clients right now suing the CRA. CRA is ignoring us. They're not proving anything to anybody. They're just threatening people. But when we threaten them back, what happens? They cry. Did you listen to the video where I made that woman cry from the CRA? The one who pulled a scam, the one who defrauded a company for $164,000. Did you catch that? Yeah, she got charged criminally today. Oh, and we're going to be covering that story next week. So get a hold of me for CERB, everyone. We'll get rid of that CERB debt. That's an easy one. All right, what about the banks seizing accounts? That's what they do in Canada. Canada is #1 in the world for seizing bank accounts for absolutely no legal reason whatsoever. When the CRA, when the Canada Revenue Agency in Canada tells a bank to shut down an account, the banks just do it. But they don't even get court orders. The CRA is not getting court orders. They're just sending out demand letters, which are unlawful, I might add, and the banks are just shutting down your accounts, which is also unlawful, I might add. So you have to immediately issue a 48-hour warning to the bank. It's called a notice of liability. You're going to tell them you are liable for everything that goes wrong from here on in, and you've got 48 hours to unlock the bank account, or we are suing you and the CRA, and then you actually do it. That's what you got to do. Go to war with these institutions, but you're going to sue the bank manager in that branch as well as the bank itself, and you're going to find out which officer it was that issued this, because you're going to the bank and you're going to get a copy of the letter, and you're going to sue the CRA and that individual personally, all of them. You're going to go after all of them. All right, let's just keep going here with your questions. I always get emails from the CRA that have my email to MYCRA. Yeah, get rid of that account, guys. Just do not make it easy for any tax agency in Canada to get a hold of you. Having government accounts in Canada are stupid unless it's something cool that benefits you, such as Service Ontario in Canada. So the province of Ontario, they've got something called One Key, ONEKEY. It's kind of handy because you can file lawsuits online through your One Key account, which I do. And I enjoy doing it. So One Key is cool because that's a benefit to me. Otherwise, I'd have to fly back to the city of Brampton and go to the Brampton courthouse. And I have to be in the same room with Peel Regional Police officers. You know, those far left maniacs, the ones that have the rainbow badges on and the rainbow socks. Yeah, if you crack an LGBTQ joke, they arrest you and lock you up for months at a time. Yeah, there. I'm not going there. I'll use the One Key account to file lawsuits. Thank you very much. Yeah, Coco DeCoco, holding companies, you got to do it. You got no choice. You got to have a holding company to hold your house. By the way, everybody, right up here on TikTok, we're only at 933 likes. Can we get everyone going? Boop, 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 boop. 2 fingers, please. Just rapid fire. Let's get the likes up to 10,000 if we could, because we've only got 20 minutes left in this episode. Let's get it up because it really does help get the word out there. And if you're on Rumble, everybody, I've noticed that we don't have very many thumbs ups there. 9, in fact. So if you look right around here below me, you'll see this thumbs up. Please, everybody, hit that thumbs up now if you could. All right, let me check the Rumble room for questions here. And Joseph, thank you for the heart. Oh, look at the roses that we're getting here. Joseph, thank you. Thank you very much. I have corporate debt. I closed my company in 2019. Government says they will convert the 30G debt to me. Okay, you need to get me those papers so that I can see them, because what would happen here, Mick, is that we can ditch that debt if we do it properly, which means that you would have closed the company down, and we got to show an actual loss for that year and then get your taxes updated. That's an easy one. I get those wiped out for people all the time. So Mick, shoot, please get a hold of me on that one. We can kill that tax debt in just a couple of weeks. You will get reassessed when we kill the oh, look at the hearts. Thank you for the gifts, everybody. Ben, that's just so kind of all of you. So Mick, when we do this, you're going to get reassessed. We're going to reassess their assessment, and we can get rid of that $30,000 debt. Boom. It's not going to take long. What are the business opportunities here in Panama, everybody? Real estate is one. But, oh, look at, hey, we got a hat here too. Woo! Check it out, everyone. All right. I opened up a medical company down here, so we're going to be getting MRIs for Canadians, Americans, Brits, anybody who wants them. I can get you an MRI and a CT scan in the same day with only 24 hours notice. We're doing cancer screenings down here. I'm getting people into surgery. My first client is here in Panama now getting a kidney transplant. That's correct. This is what we do. You can open up whatever you want down here because the Panamanians, I found this out today. I had a really good conversation today with my translator. And he was saying that in school, they teach Panamanians, get a job, get a job, get a job, get a job. They don't teach them learn English, learn English, learn English, open a business. They don't teach that. So Panamanians are in this country that's just absolutely fraught with opportunity, but they don't understand it because the wrong message is pounded into their heads. Just like the wrong message is pounded into our heads back home in Canada and the United States. White man bad, patriarchy bad, white man stole the land, males are bad, like all that stupid crap, LGBTQ good, there's 1,000 genders. That stupid garbage gets pounded into kids' heads and it affects them negatively. It really does. So in Panama, there are opportunities just right off the charts. I got shown one today for investment. I'm thinking about it. Downtown, there are buildings that have been following a number of building codes that are not allowed in North America until very recently. In North America, apartment buildings, condominiums, tall buildings, any kind of tall building at all, had to follow the formula of every 7 floors up, you had to have 1 floor of width. That's how it worked forever. That's why so many buildings were excessively wide. You'll see that all over Toronto. Every building is really wide until building materials began to change. So now in New York City on Billionaires Row, there's a number of condominium buildings that are 24-1. Well, in Panama, they've been doing 15-1 for a very long time, which means you've got these excessively thin, tall buildings with windows galore. I just saw for the first time today a film that goes on windows that blocks 80% of the UV light going through the window. So you can turn your air conditioners down to half, maybe even less than half, if this film goes onto all these windows. So can we get an investor out there to cover the 10,000 windows that exist, for example, between 2 banking buildings right downtown? Because all the bank buildings are glass, but they've got their AC units cranked all day. They're blowing millions on electricity to keep these buildings cool. Why not put a film in there? There's an opportunity to get that rocking. I met 2 installers today that can get the job done in days, a whole building. So there's opportunities here. They are knocking, but you got to be here to do it. I'm going to address some more questions here. Coco says, if you're not a lawyer, how can you represent people with the CRA? I love this one. Read this for yourselves right now. There's the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights in Canada, Section 15, Section 1.5. Anybody can represent you in CRA matters and tax court in Canada. There's also something in Canada called amicus curiae, where you can pick anyone you want to represent you in a case. You can actually, in Canada, have a dog or a hamster represent you under amicus curiae. I'm not lying to you on that one. You absolutely can do so. You don't have to be a lawyer in Canada. All right. Just checking the questions here in the Rumble room. Yeah, Mil Demj said it's very difficult to meet ladies in Mexico if you don't speak Spanish. Well, that's true here in Panama too. I mean, if you speak Spanish and you're charming, great. I was warned today by my translator. He says, oh, women in Panama, when they see gringos, they think money, money, money. So they're really super duper nice to gringos. And somehow he says they find a way. They come in your front door and they never leave because you have money. Thinking, oh, do they understand the concept that North American men don't like to part with their money? He says, oh, no, they think you're all rich and spend money on women. Okay, where the hell did they get that idea from? Obviously, it's Hollywood, because there's a lot of cinemas in this town and there's American movies all over this town. And if you want evidence of that, every single community that I go to, the Avengers and Spider-Man and the Hulk are all painted on all the walls here. Like, they love superhero movies here. So they assume that gringos, white skin, just lay the cash down for the ladies. I don't. I've given the dating advice not to do that, but this is not a dating show, so we're not going to go down that road. Alrighty. So I'm just looking at some of your questions here. I want to make sure I'm addressing questions. If I put my daughter in trust for my house, it will protect her. That's correct. But you better make sure that the trust is one that's been set up properly. And you, let me know which one it is, and I'll do the scrutinizing for you. That's what we do here. How can we reach you when they close down TikTok? Always go to my personal website, myname.me. That's myname.me. KevinJJohnston.me. Please go there and communicate with me on my website. Also, this show is duplicated on Rumble. If you type in freedomreport.ca, you'll be on my Rumble channel. You can always follow me there. Rumble is competition to YouTube. If someone has a large sum of money in their account and you receive a threatening letter from CRA, shut down your bank account. Shut it down. As soon as you get a threat from CRA, they can't wait to shut your account down. Get your money out of the bank now. Get it out. If you guys need to, you go to Coho. All right, you go to Coho and open up a Coho account because they are a trust company. It works just like a bank account. You get a debit card with that. You get an online MasterCard with that. You can actually have a MasterCard debit card with that. But get a Coho account, move your money there. So could somebody please type below? I'm going to talk slowly here. Coho is Koho. Download it on your phone. It's a bank. It's a Canadian trust company. And when you sign up, I pay $1,000 a year to Coho so that I can have my own Coho network, people that can transfer money back and forth to each other without fees. It's actually pretty wild. Ready to type all this down, everyone? I'm going to paste the Coho code right now in the Rumble chat. There it is. I'm also going to stick it in the StreamYard chat here. So here we go. There it is. All right, guys. So if you have a look at the Coho code, or sorry, download Coho, use the code you see below there. Get ready, guys, to type it in. A W P D 0 Q K 9. One more time, I'll repeat that. Coho is Koho. Download that. Move your money into your account. It's a trust company. They can't touch it. Code A W P D 0 Q K 9. If you need that code, go to my website, please, and message me. I will send you over that code, and we get you guys set up with that. You want to get your money out of any chartered bank in Canada. That's TD, Bank of Montreal, Royal Bank, CIBC, Scotia, HSBC. It could also be President's Choice. You might want to be careful with them. If you're going to be doing business with banks, make sure it's trust companies in Canada, or make sure that it's provincially chartered banks, not federal. Stay away from the federal banks. The Canada Revenue Agency are crazy, and they're just stealing everyone's money. How do you suggest you remove your funds? Here's a fast one, real easy one. If you have bills in your internet banking in Canada, you can just attach as many bills as you want to your account. Let's say you're paying property tax. Let's say you've got $30,000 in the bank. Go to your online banking and pay $30,000. Pay it, the whole thing, just pay it. Call the city the next day and say, oh my God, I'm so stupid. I meant to give you $3,000. I gave you $30,000. Can I have a check, please? And they have to give it to you. They have to mail you back a check for the difference. Take it to Money Mart. Cash it. Don't take it anywhere else. Cash it. That's one fast way to get your money out. Get the Coho account open. Move your money there. If you have a PayPal account or a Stripe account or a Square account, move your money into these private banks. You got to stay away from Canadian chartered banks. Just stay away. You suggested gift cards. Sure. You can buy $5,000 gift cards for Walmart. You can buy multiple gift cards if you like. And then you can go back to Walmart head office and say, I made a mistake. I meant to put $500 on this gift card. Could I get a refund, please? I'd like $500 on the card. I'd like the rest to come back to me in the way of a check. And they'll do it. They have no choice. These major companies can't screw around with your money. They don't want to get sued. How successful are these lawsuits? What damages do you sue them for? When you're suing the CRA, they settle out of court. In many cases, they don't even show up. So you get your default judgment. How successful are they? Well, we haven't lost one this year. Not one. Because but it's all been by default. The CRA has not even filed a defense against these lawsuits that my clients are filing. I mean, I'm writing the lawsuits for them, but CRA is not defending them. Isn't that weird? So you just tell the judge you want default judgment. My clients are winning money. Ta-da. How did you obtain your knowledge, schooling, or BS life experiences? No school at all. No school at all will teach you what I know. I've learned everything through the school of hard knocks. I've succeeded in life. I have failed in life. I've succeeded again. I have failed again. You go up in life, you go down in life. That's just how it is. You got to take the good with the bad. Every single failure is an opportunity to grow. All right. The Canadian government, as you all know, they took my house. They just took it from me to try to get me to shut up as a podcaster. They took my car, which I've never seen since. And they drained all my bank accounts. They took all my money. When I left the country, I had $900 Canadian to my name. That's all I had left. That's it. Now I'm making $30,000 a month here in Panama. So you can always rebuild, but you're never going to rebuild a damn thing in Canada. I can promise you that, because as communist as it is now, wait till you see what happens if Bill C-63 passes and Bill 287 passes. You're finished. It's all over for you. The country is over. Get out now. Which brings me back to what I was going to talk about at the beginning of the show. My meeting today was an absolute blessing. It was a gift from the gods. If you want to move your money out of Canada, within 21 days, I can get you a bank account open here in Panama remotely. In order, you'll order that from me. You'll get a hold of me. We'll get the bank account paid for. It's $650 US, to which I made a deal with the bank today to have a flat rate of $950 Canadian. So what will happen is the bank will absorb the loss, because sometimes the dollar fluctuates. So $950 Canadian gets you a bank account here in Panama. I'll get you what you need to give me, which would be passport, driver's license, 2 utility bills for proof. What else do you have? A letter of employment, bank records, 2 years of tax returns. If you haven't done them, it doesn't matter. We can get them done really quickly. They don't need to see the filed ones. They just want to see them complete for the record. You get all that information over. I will physically walk it into the bank for you, and then the bank will contact you, and they have to do an interview by Zoom. And the interview is to have you hold your passport up, and you hold your driver's license up, and you hold your bills up, and you ask some questions. The questions are going to be mildly offensive, like, are you going to be selling cocaine in our country? Will you be doing anything illegal in our country? What are you doing primarily here? The answer is simple. No, I don't do crimes, and I'm saving my money. Because if you have 50 grand or more, it's 6% a year. 6% a year. You believe that? If you put $1 million US into an account down here, you could live in Panama for the rest of your life just off the interest. 60 grand a year? My Lord, that's your rent, that's your food, that's your entertainment, that's a car, that's everything all in 1 year in Panama here. It's unbelievable. Especially if you go to the economic free zone in the north of the country, where you're buying brand new jeans. You guys saw the video I did. You can buy brand new jeans for $2.50, running shoes for $3. You just go to the free zone, get everything you need. $60,000 a year is all you need to live in Panama and live well. So get your money out of Canada, get it here into Panama. If you really want to open up an account, get a hold of me. I'm updating my website this weekend to allow you to actually buy the bank account online. And I'll be getting you all that information. So we are going to be doing a lot of business together, it seems, everybody. And on top of all of that, if you want to come down and meet me in person and walk in the bank with me, I will accommodate that as well. Because this is my new home. I love it here. I'll take you to the bank and I'll introduce you to everyone who works there. That's what I do for Canadians. I gave your name to someone who received a letter from the CRA. I told him to watch and get educated. Appreciate that. NYCC, thanks for the heart. Awesome. Just awesome. Can CRA seize your wages on corporate accounts? Not if it's your corporation. CRA sends letters out where they issue all kinds of threats. Contact me. We'll deal with the threats. You, if you're the corporate owner, do not have to cooperate with the CRA at all. You're under zero obligation. Zero to cooperate with the Canada Revenue Agency. They are not a police agency. They are not a detective agency. They are not a court. They have no power. No power, no power, no power. Don't fear them. You fight them. You make them cry. We have to go to war with these people because they're, you know what? I've said this before and I'll say it again. And even though this is a polite show, I do not view anyone who works for the Canada Revenue Agency as a human being. Period. They are nothing to me at all. So we collectively need to go to war with these creatures of the night because they are as evil as they come. I have a will leaving everything to her. Yeah, okay. Single mama, if you're in the process of dying, when I hope you're not, but if you are, it's better to sign everything over to your kids, but under very strict guidelines whilst you are still alive. That way the problem is solved. My mom, I had a really good conversation with my mother actually before she passed away. She knew she was on her way out and it was fine. She was at peace with it. So the way that she structured everything is that my kid, her grandchildren, my children, they got the house with me only as a legal guide and agent. So technically, I've got power of attorney over a house that does not belong to me. And I've explained the importance of property to my children. I said, you don't have to keep it. The house is a piece of crap. I couldn't stand living in that house when I was a child. It's garbage. It's a semi-detached back split design. It's horrible. But if you want it, after I'm dead and buried, it's yours. You, my kids, you two fight it out, figure it out. It's yours. So my mother did that for my kids prior to her death. There's nothing wrong with doing these things for your family. It's your property. You do what you want, but you got to have some balls, everybody. You got to grow a spine. The CRA is going to come looking for money that they're not legally allowed to do so. And the only way they find it is when you talk. So stop talking. Stop. Just remain silent. You have the right to remain silent. You do not cooperate with any government agency, ever. All right, I want to try to address the rest here. Norman, how do we reach you? In my profile around here somewhere, my website address, kevinjjohnston.me. Could everybody please put my website address in the comments below? I appreciate it. I'm going to head over to the Rumble room. Let me check the questions there. TurboTax. Don't use that program. It'll screw you. Do not use TurboTax. Don't go to H&R Block either. Those guys are idiots. They really are idiots. If you have a lawyer, an accountant who tells you to use those programs, he's an idiot. Fire him. Get away from you. If you have an accountant that says you have to report your gambling earnings and you've got to report your part-time earnings and you've got to report your capital gains, fire that moron. Get a hold of me. We'll get rid of all that stuff. Period. Please get a hold of me. Okay, don't worry about Russia firing nuclear weapons. Right now, Putin's just showing Biden who's boss. Those ships sitting in Havana Harbor are just for show. Relax. It's just men doing this. Who cares? We're going to be fine. Yeah, NPeace04, that was the plan, was to destroy small business. That's exactly what COVID was all about. There was no pandemic. I think we all know that. It was a way to move vast quantities of wealth to people that don't deserve it. So please do indeed get a hold of me if you want to sell your corporation to me. Everyone, do that. If you have a corporation in Canada that owes back taxes, any kind, income tax, GST, payroll tax, if you owe CEBA loans, if you have bank loans, corporate credit cards, if you have debts, you sell me the corporation, I take all your debts away from you, and I can do it in less than 2 weeks. And you're off the hook, and the CRA can call me. And you know what's going to happen when they call me? I'll put the microphone here on, I'll get the phone call going, and I'll rip them a new one. And then I'll challenge them, like, you're welcome to come to Panama and try to muscle me for some money. I mean, can't imagine anybody wanting to come to my front door. I think the CRA knows that if they came to Panama and knocked on my front door, it'd be the last thing they did for a couple of months. I'm pretty sure they know that. So they're not coming here. I thought you had to convince a judge to let anyone who wasn't a lawyer represent you in court. If the judge says no, Coco, you appeal it and you're going to win. Okay. Panama, are they part of the WEF? Yes and no. They are doing so much international commerce that they have made contracts with other companies out there for exchanges of not banking information, but just exchanges of business. But as for, does the WEF have any influence here? It's none. The 15-minute city concept, the Panamanians would rip the city apart before they let that happen. When Panamanians are pissed off, the government knows it. The city, the country, not the city, the country shuts down. Shuts down. Watch what happens the next time they try something stupid. I'll be here filming it all. If you haven't done your taxes in 2 years, get a hold of me. I love that stuff. That's an easy one. If you have not done your taxes for more than 2 years or more, you get a hold of me. I'll show you how you report whatever you want. You are allowed to report whatever number you want, just for the record, so long as you keep your mouth shut. Don't talk. If they call you, hello, thank you for calling CRA. What's your name? What's your full name? What's your officer number? What is your phone number? What is your fax number? What is the office address you work in? Thank you, my lawyer will be in touch. Hang up the phone. And that's where it ends. And then you get a hold of me. Why don't I do the 50-50 draw anymore? Good question. It was a lot of fun, but it was beginning to take away from the action on the show. We've had some really good guests on the show. And when I started adding up all the 50-50 draw information, it was actually burning up between 10 and 15 minutes of time on the show that we could be discussing serious topics. So you didn't hear this from me, but you heard it from me. We're going to be giving away other types of prizes coming soon. Larger amounts of money, because I can do that here in Panama. I don't have to abide by the Ontario Lottery Corporation's rules in Canada. If I want to give away $5,000 American in cash, I'm certainly allowed to do so here in Panama. We're going to start giving away cash, MRIs, CT scans, cancer screening tests. We're going to start giving away things people need. That's going to be the next big thing on the Kevin J. Johnston show. So 50-50 draws are cool, but you know what I want to do is I want to get medical treatments now for people. So I'd rather raise funds for that on the show. New things and better things are coming. You know me, I've always got some kind of a plan. I'm always cooking something up here. What do I think of Wealth Simple? What do I think about anybody using software to do your taxes? I think you're crazy. That's what I think. I think you got to stop right now. I think you got to talk to a professional, which is my guy. There's a gentleman I work with. He is the only one I trust in the entire country. He fixes tax with both of us. You and I will go through your taxes. We'll get everything agreed upon. Everything gets sent to him. I sign off to him on your behalf so that all of the liability for your taxes falls on me. That's what I do for my clients. All the liabilities are on me. Now, what accountant in Canada would ever do that? Name one. You can't. Martin, hello from Saskatchewan. How are you? Thank you for being here. Appreciate it. What does it cost to use your company? They're trying to put a lien on your house. Oh, crap. Okay, Darren, get a hold of me right now. Just type in my name, kevinjjohnston.com. It'll take you directly to the page where you can book a 1-hour consultation. We will talk about your problem, form a strategy, and get all your taxes fixed up as quickly as possible so they don't do that. Because we got to just do a reassessment, but a proper one. Handsome guy? Yeah, I am making $30,000 a month right now here in Panama because there's opportunities here. This country is a license to print money. Why are all of you not here? Come here. Panama City is the most incredible thing that's ever happened to a guy like me. I can tell you that right now. This has been the best time of my life. The best. You could have it too. You just got to be brave. Walk away from your comfort zone, everyone. The quicker that you walk away from comfort and your comfort zone, the quicker your brain begins to wrap around how to survive. When I went to Costa Rica back in November, I had nothing to my name. I went into full survival mode and it worked. Get out of your comfort zone. What is so great about shopping malls in Canada? What is so great about the Edmonton Oilers? What is so fabulous about downtown Toronto that you just have to stay there and be miserable and broke for the rest of your life? Now, I ask people all the time, what's with you in Toronto? I get stupid crap said to me all the time about Toronto's the best city in the world. Why? I was born there. I spent a lot of time there. I lived at Queen and Coxwell in Toronto before they ripped down the old Greenwood racetrack. I had a great time in Toronto in the 80s. Great city in the 80s. The odds of me actually stepping foot inside of Toronto again for the rest of my life is 0. Unless I'm able to find someone to sell me a nuclear weapon, I would then proceed to drive it downtown Toronto myself, park as close to the business district as I possibly could, set the timer for 3 hours, and leave town real quick. There's a hill by the airport that I'll be standing on to watch the nuke go off. I hate the place. And many of you who live there do. It's not a world-class city. It's never been identified as such. It might have big underground shopping malls, but it's full of drug users anyway. It might have a big central business district, but half the buildings are empty. There's no tenants. Nobody has any money. The city is dead. Okay, it's got Skydome. Whoopie-doo. Who cares about the Blue Jays when you can't afford food? Oh, everyone says it's got the Toronto FC soccer team. Again, is Toronto FC going to put food on your table? Is Toronto FC or the Toronto Argonauts going to pay your meals? Well, we got lacrosse. No, Toronto doesn't have lacrosse. They moved back to Hamilton. No, Toronto has nothing to offer. Nothing. You can't afford a damn thing. Try taking a family of 4 to the Ripley's Believe It or Not aquarium. It's a beautiful aquarium. But even when it first opened, it was $55 a person, even 12-year-olds. Take a family of 5, $250 to $300 plus GST. Who could afford that? For what purpose? I pay 35 cents here in Panama City to get on the subway. And that's end to end. End to end. I've got a daily ritual where I work really hard in the morning. I get up between 4 and 6. I work until between 12 and 1 p.m. Central Time. I do a 10K combination walk and jog. I'll get to one of the metro stations. I slap my credit card down, 35 cents, and take the train 10 kilometers back to my office and go back to work. That's what I do, 35 cents. On the way back from the station to where I live, which might be 400 meters of walking, I've got my choice of over 150 fruit and meat vendors. Yeah, plus the retail stores. So you've got people with fresh fish. They caught the fish themselves that morning, and they've got fish in big coolers. And I'll say red snapper, and they pull 2 fish up like this, they're this long. I give them $3 a fish. One full red snapper. I can eat the whole thing myself. I love that stuff. But that's what life can be for you. If you just get up and leave garbage places like Montreal, Ottawa, Toronto, any of the Democrat states in the United States right now, London, England, Manchester, Brisbane, Melbourne. These are places that are falling apart. These cities have nothing to offer anymore. So you got to go where the money is. And Nelly Gem, you're right. Shopping malls are boring. There are beautiful ones here in Panama City. I'm not a shopper. I couldn't care less about them. But if I was having friends or guests or whatnot come down, I would take them to every mall in the city so they could see how clean and modern the shopping malls are here in Panama. They're phenomenal. They're better than anything in Canada. Anything. I've got a CRA bill for GST. That's more money than I made in my business in 3 years. Okay, NPeace, get a hold of me. Sell me your company. I want to buy your business from you. I want your GST debt. I want all of that. That is what I do. I want to do a stock sale with you and take your problems away from you. It's what I do. It's profitable. It is for me to do, and it works. CRA froze your bank account because you haven't filed for 9 years? No problem. Get a hold of me. We'll make sure that your 9 years worth of tax returns show the minimal amount possible, and they'll unlock your account. Trust me, this works, but get a hold of me, guys. Why does it cost so much to open up a bank account here in Panama? $950 Canadian is cheap for a bank account. The lawyers here are charging over $3,000. I'm not going through a lawyer. I'm going directly to the bank. So there's a fee because you're not inside the country. But if you came with me, if you flew here for $900 and then got a hotel and met me and I walk you in the front door of the bank, there's no fee. That's how it works. So you could fly down here and do it for $0, or you can hire me to do it and I pay all the fees necessary. There will be a legal fee because they have to open up an account remotely. They've got to go through a lawyer to do it. The lawyer is actually charging very minimal amounts of money. This is a value add service that I'm doing for my tax clients, or anyone for that matter, who wants their money out of Canada. The lawyers here charge between $2,000 and $3,000 US to do that for you. They're ripping people off. I'm not. All right, I'm telling you what I pay. That's how it works. Oh, Christopher, the code when you sign up for Coho, everyone put this in the comments below. For Coho, which is spelled K-O-H-O, it is AWPD0QK9. All right, everyone, if you got that, please put it all down and sign up for it. Sign up for Coho. Move your money there. It's a way to protect your money. It really is. Martin says, they filed fraudulent returns on my behalf and are trying to hang me with a $200K tax bill. Martin, we just have to redo your taxes for you. We just have to we assess you. And then we get you to go to a notary public and you do this friggin' stupid gesture. Like, yes, I swear everything's true. And your taxes get submitted. And then we argue with the CRA so that they do accept it. Get a hold of me, please. You have to do it. How is it politically in Panama? Are the citizens satisfied? Well, the government changes next month. And the new guy who's in office made it clear he wants to compete with every country in Latin America. So they're going to build a 4-lane highway all the way to the Costa Rican border from Panama City, which is awesome. They've got a 44-kilometer monorail system going in right now, which will join up to the subway system here in Panama, which is, again, awesome. The new government coming in seems to be very investment focused, but it remains to be seen. They get 5 years to do their thing. I'll keep you posted. I'm not leaving. I'll know what's going on here first. All right. So Coco, sounds like you're insulting me or someone else in the room. You're allowed to, but nothing that I'm saying here sounds too good to be true. All I'm telling you is what I know from the Excise Tax Act. Remember, accountants, they don't read the Excise Tax Act. They don't read the Income Tax Act. The accountants don't even know what the taxpayer's Bill of Rights is. Not the Canadian Bill of Rights. That document sucks. The taxpayer's Bill of Rights. That one doesn't suck. It's a great document. I'm the guy that's been doing that research for 40 years. This is not too good to be true. This is a matter of I have spent tens of thousands of dollars with lawyers and accountants trying to get to the bottom of what's legal and what's not. And it turns out nothing I'm doing is illegal. What the CRA is doing is illegal. You need me on your side. All right, MPs, you let me know. I'm around. Why do you have to buy a bank account? You don't buy a bank account. You pay the legal fees. That's it. Or you fly to Panama and do it for free. That's it. There's no secret to that. There's a fee. And then you put your money in the bank and there's no more fees. Can you watch this live after you finish? Yes, you can. Go to freedomreport.ca. That's freedomreport.ca. That'll take you to my Rumble channel, and I archive everything there. Rumble's got about 1,700 videos for you to enjoy. Yes, I will leave it there, period. Always. All right. I owe $40,000 in CERB business loan. Any way to get out of paying this? Yes, there is. It's convoluted. It's a little complicated. Not terribly. It's a little complicated, but yes, there is. We have to go on the attack against the CRA and force them into a position where they have to prove it to you. They won't. They will fail. I know this because I've written over 400 letters that they have failed to reply to. And then my clients just go ahead and sue them, which you have the right to do, but you've got to follow a very specific protocol that even lawyers won't tell you about. So if you do want to do this, get rid of your CERB debt, please let me know. Is it good to add a sibling to the title? If you're going to have a house in personal names, the more names on the house, the better. The more, the better. Also, if your house is fully paid off, go get a bank loan for $10,000. Ask them to put a lien on your property of $50,000. Keep the $10,000 hidden in a safe somewhere inside your house. Pay the $80 a month that it's going to be to keep it going, and never spend the 10 grand. So that way you can pay it off in an instant. That way you've got more names on the title, and on top of all of that, everybody, you've got a lien on the property. That makes it impossible for anyone to take it from you. Impossible. How about Liberty Tax? Oh, you mean that stupid program for Windows? No. No. Please, no. Don't. If you're looking to get screwed, use that stuff. Just stay away from all that stuff, all right? Get it done the right way. I'll put you in touch with the guy that does it the right way. The only one I trust. He hates the CRA as much as I do. I'm a single parent and do not need to make a will, for I have special needs son, daughter. All right, so if you've got special needs children, your will needs to be very specific as to who's going to be able to take care of them and how the trust hopefully it's in a trust, how the trust in their name is to not be spent, but used for them. You have to be very stringent on how that works, because you want to make sure that the system doesn't take the property and then put them into some home somewhere where they lose their minds. Every government institution in Canada is garbage. You don't want to be involved. You don't want your kids there at all. So please get that part of it figured out. Let me just check your other comments here, everybody. Okay. All right, let's check the last few questions here. Can we save Canada? No, we could have 5 years ago, even 7 years ago, when I started all of my podcasting explaining how Canadians could take their country back. And I was ignored. I've done my bit for king and country. The Canadian government knew how much of a threat that I was to them and how much of a benefit I was to you, the people, that they locked me up in prison for 7 months to try to get the smile off my face. Didn't work. And to shut me up. Didn't work. Remember, they made me go to court over 400 times to get the smile off my face. Didn't work. They hit me with 75 criminal charges. We beat 74. There's only one left. It's going to be gone next month. Didn't work. And they figured taking my house, my car, and my money would take the smile off my face. And that didn't work either. But it's still a country where if you do decide to resist, they will punish you every way they possibly can. It's not worth being there because Canadians don't know how to stand up for themselves. Canadians haven't suffered enough. They're suffering now, but they haven't suffered enough yet to be able to be want to be in a position to revolt. The only way for Canada to be rescued, it has to completely crash. There has to be 10 years of civil unrest, of civil war and violence within the country. That's when the strong men return from the ashes, and the strong men lead people in smaller communities into something bigger and better than themselves. So Canada has to completely crash. And hopefully what will end up happening is the provinces themselves will all be separate countries at that point. And maybe even each province splits up into 4 or 5 different countries. This whole idea of having a country that spans 6 time zones obviously doesn't work because it can't. Everything has to be local so that there's a common culture and a common good. And this multicultural nonsense Canada goes through has destroyed it, hasn't helped it. Diversity is not strength. Remember, diversity means divergence, right? Divide. No, leave Canada, get out. It can't be saved. Sole proprietorships, never register a sole proprietorship, ever. Not ever should you even consider it because it just allows you with your social insurance number attached to you to then go and do business as some fake, stupid company name. And everything you do is on you personally. Now, I have found a way to beat tax on proprietorships, but it's not easy. If you have a sole proprietorship, stop reporting and shut it down now. Open up a numbered corporation. I know exactly how to get that done in 24 hours. Get a hold of me. Let's get it done. Never, ever should you have that. Am I from the United States? No, I'm from Canada, but I did live in the United States from 1996 to the year 2000. I lived in 11 American cities, and I had a blast doing it. Okay. What did I do to get into prison? I told people the truth, that there was no pandemic. I taught them how to beat their bosses in court who were making them get needles. I proved to everybody that even judges can't make you get needles in Canada. So what would make an employer think they can get you into a needle? I showed everybody that the medical agencies in Canada were not willing to prove that there was a virus. Not one image of the coronavirus ever surfaced. All those pictures you saw were computer-generated images. I also proved to the Canadian people that all of these models about illness were just thought experiments done by very poor software out of the University of Toronto. I proved all that. There was no pandemic. So they locked me up, shut me up, because the Canadian government was more interested in killing you than saving you. They didn't care about your disease. If they cared about your health, they would have said, go outside, get lots of vitamin D, eat better, go to the gym. We can all beat this collectively if we all just keep living our lives, but be healthier. Nope. They said, stay home, don't exercise, don't do anything. Women, fight with your husbands because your husband wants to go outside. My ex-wife, she was screaming at me at the top of her lungs not to take my kids to the park. Yeah. I had to give her $150. I said, get out of the house. I'll see you Monday. Go to a hotel. Don't want to hear anything you've got to say. If you're going to scream at me in front of my children, taking the side of the city of Mississauga, you're taking the side of the government over me, over my decision to go and get some vitamin D outside and have my children exercise with me. You're going to take that stance? You can't be here. I don't yell at my women. I don't hit them. I don't do any of that stuff. But I did tell her, you got to go. Just take the money, go to the hotel, think about what you did wrong. And that's the problem, is that families were fighting with families over this disease that did not exist. I explained all that to my audience. I explained that to Canadians. I told you, don't fight with your husbands or your wives or your children. Just, you got to pretend that there is nothing wrong out there, because there wasn't anything wrong out there. So they locked me up for it because the Canadian government wanted to kill people without me trying to save people. All right. Since I haven't done my taxes in 2 years, can they refuse to renew my passport? They have no access to your passport. None. Only the Family Responsibility Office has access to that. And only if you don't get a court injunction against them. No, the CRA cannot stop you from leaving the country or coming back into the country. They are a collection agency. That's all the CRA is. Collection agency. They cannot interfere with your life in that fashion. You can do what I would do, what one of my clients did today, and charge them criminally if they try things like that. Oh, yeah, Mississauga got a new mayor. My hometown, Carolyn Parrish, is a morbidly obese alcoholic who hates Americans, hates men, and hates Christians. Good luck. Good luck, Canada. I'm not going back to that town. You people in Mississauga are screwed. All right, just checking your comments here. Legion of Shadows. Guys, let's get his likes up to 50K. It takes 2 minutes and it's free. Well, hey, I appreciate that. Is that possible? Tell you what, I'll hang around for 10 more minutes. But let's, right there. There's the likes, 14,900. Yeah, let's do that. Everyone, start double tapping with your fingers. Just, it's free. It's free to do. Costs you nothing. There they are. There are the hearts. Thank you. Let's go right to 50K tonight. That would be absolutely dynamite. I'm going to go back to the Rumble room and check out the questions here. Okay. All right, everyone. We've only got 15 likes here on Rumble. It's right here. Just thumbs up. Thumbs up. Let me just check all your questions. All right. I'm seeing some pretty cool things here, but no questions in Rumble. Let me just check the Facebook rooms. And do we have any questions there? Move to El Salvador and use Bitcoin. I haven't scouted El Salvador yet, so I'm not the right guy to tell you if El Salvador is the place to be or not. But what I can tell you is that El Salvador is very heavily into Bitcoin. And if you're looking for an adventure, well, that would be it. Yeah. Like the only way for you to find out is to go. So why not go? Just split, go check it out. Don't use excuses. You don't here. Let me talk about this for a second because I had this conversation today and it really got on my nerves. A friend of mine, I hung up the phone on him, but not before saying, listen, man, when you grow up a little bit and you want to act even half your age, you get a hold of me. Until that time, I'm done. The excuses that I've heard from a grown man 2 years older than me today. I can't move out of the country because my parents are still here. Do you really think that your parents are going to make a phone call to you and say, don't leave the country, stay here and allow us to oppress you? All right. We gave birth to you specifically to oppress you in your 50s. Are you kidding me? You say, hey, Ma, Dad, I'm going to go to El Salvador, Costa Rica, Panama, St. Kitts and Nevis. I'm going to go somewhere for a month and scout and see if it's the right move for me and my family. Ma, Dad, I love you. Don't die while I'm gone. And just get on a plane and go. Don't blame your parents for you. Oh, I got 3 dogs and 7 cats. I can't go. Well, why the hell would you do that? I used to do a dating show. Do you remember the advice I gave all you ladies out there? Especially the ladies. Don't have more than 1 pet. Why? Because no guy's going to date you first off. And then if you do decide it's time to pick up and leave, you start blaming the animals. It's somehow the cat's fault that you're not getting on a plane. You know, you're going broke in Canada. Most women who are single over the age of 50 now in Canada are living in abject poverty, but somehow they've got cats, right? And the cats are stopping them from picking up and leaving. Think that one through. But I've got a job. All right. And the job pays what? And the job has what opportunity for you to advance and to grow? You know, if you're going to have a job that is something that you're going to stay somewhere for, Don't make it a job. Make it a career. I'm going to be building a career here in Panama City. That's why I'm not leaving. I've already made that decision. My applications for residency are already in. I'll be a resident here in no time, flat. I'm staying. I'm staying for a career. There's no career in Canada that I can have at all. So why would I be there? I'm not going to blame my job. If your job is not allowing you to grow as a human being, learning more skills, learning more information, if your job is just holding you back, don't blame the job. It's you. You're the one who's not leaving. It's not your job. You can always walk away from a garbage job, because at the same time, you're going to be walking away from a garbage country. Don't make excuses. My kids are still in school. All right, if they're toddlers, pick up and leave. They can go to school anywhere you want. If they're teenagers and you sit down and you explain to your kids, here's the economic situation. If we stay in Canada, we are going to lose this house. So we know you've got friends in this stupid high school you're in, but we're going. We're going. And you sell the house and you go. And you take your kids with you. Sorry, kids, but if you want to live rent-free, you got to go where mom and dad go. You don't have a choice. Suck it up, buttercup. You don't like the way your parents do things? Move out. All right? You're not going to be able to. Not now. You really won't, but if you really don't like it, you can try. I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18. I didn't like their rules. I didn't want to be around my folks. We had too many different ideologies. I had what I call the proper outlook on life, which was improve every day. And my parents were of the old school mentality where you don't improve. Once you get to 35 years of age, life stops and you sit in front of the TV. We had too much of a difference in philosophy of life philosophy. So I moved out. And because I was DJing in Hamilton, Ontario for the longest time, but working in Mississauga, I lived in a pickup truck. Yeah, my friends and I got together. He had a welding torch. We cut some really cool shapes and storage cabinets and whatnot in the bed of the pickup truck. I slept on a mattress that was only this thin and maybe 20 inches wide, but I was happy. It was my own space. But modern kids wouldn't do that. They would never dream of doing that. Even though they can play video games on a phone like this and they can do it for days at a time, they still wouldn't have the bravery to try to live in a pickup truck. Now, back in the time when I was doing it in Toronto, there were enough parking garages around where security guards weren't being militant, walking around, kicking people out all the time, where I could park underground and stay warm in the truck. That may not be the case anymore, but I'm just saying that kids wouldn't have that sense of adventure anymore. Too bad for them. Then they're going with you. Don't make excuses. Carol says, sorry, is it safe for me to live by myself? Second, I owe tax for the last 2 years. Okay, get a hold of me, Carol. We'll deal with it. And is it safe to live in Panama City by yourself? Yes. But I will tell you where and where not to live. That's what I do here. I scout the whole city. I walk different pathways all the time, checking out all the different neighborhoods because I want to know what is safe and what is not. And it's mostly safe. There's only a couple of bad neighborhoods here. What happens if the CRA tries to entrap you for fraud? Raven, if you shut your mouth, if you don't talk to them, if you say nothing, they can't entrap you. Entrapment comes when you talk to them, but they don't do that. They just want to try to get you into an audit. That's their method. And you don't have to cooperate with an audit. So if the CRA says, we want to audit you, you get a hold of me and I will take over your case and I will get rid of the audit. There we go. I thought Panama was an English-speaking country like Belize. No, but everybody who does business here speaks English. The bankers do. The highly skilled tradesmen do. The international gurus do. The investors do. They all speak English. The locals don't. But the locals don't because they They are proud of their country and their culture. They haven't had to learn English yet. But the younger crowds are catching on that they need to know English. So that's a good thing. It really is a good thing. Checking more questions here. All right. Hilton hotels in Toronto are charging $800 a night. I wouldn't give you $800 for the whole city. There you go. All right, checking out more of your questions here. I live in Southern Ontario. I bought a house in Costa Rica. Should I claim it on my personal income? No! No! You should claim nothing on your personal income. No, absolutely not. What's the benefit to you? Everything that we do in this lifetime should benefit us in some way, don't you think? Trudeau has put Canada $1.5 trillion in debt. What do you want to pay that off for? No, absolutely not. If your accountant says that you must, fire his stupid idiot ass and get a hold of me. No, never. What are my thoughts on Bahamas versus being in Panama? Well, the Bahamas doesn't have the commerce that Panama has. Bahamas has tourism, but not industry. Panama's got everything. It's got the canal, it's got banking, it's got airports, it's got tourism, it has gold and silver sales, it's got debentures, stocks, bonds, it's got all kinds of trading here. It's got everything. There's more money in Panama than the Barbados will ever make. That's the truth. Or sorry, even the Bahamas, my mistake. Sandy says, I think he met you a few years ago at Mint Auto Mechanics. Maybe. I've been all over the city. Been everywhere in Toronto. All right. James says, I'm staying come hell or high water here. I took an oath for this country and it doesn't expire. What was the oath? And to which country? Who was the monarch at the time? Who was in charge at the time? What exactly is it that you're swearing allegiance to, considering the fact that Canada, the Dominion of Canada, is the official name of the country, is still not recognized as a sovereign nation by the UN? What exactly is it that you're loyal to? That's the question. And I'm not mocking you. It's a very serious question. What's worth it in Canada? What's worth taking a bullet for aside from your own children in Canada right now? That's the answer I want from you. Do you have any advice for Indian international students? I do. Stay the hell out of Canada. Don't go to Canada. I'm a Canadian citizen. I left. I had no choice. There's an Islamic fatwa on my head in the province of Ontario, just for cracking jokes. So think about how horrible that place is. If you're from India, you're probably either Sikh or Hindu. And right now, radical Islam runs all of Toronto. Do you really want to be a part of that? And the other thing is, what are you going to do with the degree that you get? University degrees in Canada are not respected anywhere in the world. Nobody cares about them. Nobody wants them. No one's getting jobs with them. You're wasting your time and your money in Canada. In fact, anybody who goes to university, no matter where you're from, is a waste of time and money. Get out of Canada, man. Like, go home. And I'm not saying that as a racist thing. I'm telling you, if you want to have money in your pocket, you'll never have money in Canada. The Canadian government has a Ponzi scheme where they advertise to India and they advertise to Pakistan and all the Middle Eastern countries. There's advertisements here in Panama saying, Canada's wonderful. It's the golden dream. The streets are paved with gold. Come to Canada. It's the best. No, it's not the best. It sucks. Go home and be with the people that care about you. Be with those who will actually help you succeed, because the Canadian government and Canada in general is a Ponzi scheme. It's going to take everything you have and leave you broke. There's a lot of Indian students that come into Canada who get stripped of all their money in 3 years and they can't even afford plane tickets to go home. Get out. If you want to keep what's left of your money, get out. Cut your losses and go. There are better universities and colleges in India than there are in Canada. And that's me telling you the truth. All right. I know that it's hard to convince the wife to take a risk. Let me make a comment that I'm going to be called sexist for. And again, I don't care. Are you a man or what? If you've decided that the way to protect your family's economic future is to get the hell out of Canada, pick up and go. I had this argument with my ex-wife all the time. I told her, I want to go. I want to leave. I want to go. I hate it here. We got to go. There's money in Florida. There's money in Texas. There's money everywhere else in the world. There's even money at the time in South Korea. Let's go. Let's get out. No, it's my job. The excuses. She actually blamed our kids for her not wanting to go. So I say, you know what? Bye. I went to Alberta for a while. See ya. Packed my bag and left. And she's still angry about that today. Too bad. You had your chance. Now, as a man, I realized I wasn't getting anywhere with the woman who was supposed to obey. She actually did agree to those terms on our wedding day to love, honor, and obey. That she said yes to that and never once obeyed when it came time to getting the hell out of a dangerous situation. So now she's alone. I am too, but I'm loving it. And believe me, I do not speak ill of her because I'm good friends with my ex-wife, but I'm telling you that you got to be a man up and go. I had had enough of Toronto. I couldn't be in it. I couldn't be a part of it. I hated the place. The weather was gloomy. I didn't like the fact that the unfettered immigration was making my hometown violent. I hated the fact that there was no jobs. So I said, bye. I went to Calgary. I did okay for a while in Alberta. Wasn't bad. And then the government started locking me up because I refused to put on a mask. And I told all of you, you shouldn't put one on either. I wrote a book called Masks Are Bullshit, put that out, and got everyone knowing that they did not have to cooperate with any of this stuff. And I did okay with it all. But Canada's finished. So as a man, I said to my family, I love you all, but I got to go and establish something for you. And I want to see all of you out of the country in the next 2 years. So whatever stupid little things you've got to get done, get them done, because Canada's finished. It's over. If your wife doesn't want to go, you have no choice. You got to walk and do your own thing. Can I call your wife? We can do a consultation time together. I talk to guys' wives all the time. It's becoming a regular thing where I have to explain over and over again what's going on in the world and why it's so important to try something new, take a different step. And I know that for some reason, ladies, I don't know why you do this, but you don't listen to your men. Your man comes to you and presents information. He could show you pie charts. He could show you graphs. He could show you everything you want to know, and you don't believe your man. I don't understand that thought process. So yes, I'll talk to your wife. Absolutely. And I see as soon as I start talking about women, the numbers drop. Happens every single time. Ladies, I don't hate you. I love you. But you got to understand something. We are in the midst of World War III. This is a socio-economic war that even the geniuses out there could not predict. So the government is at war with we, the people. You got to join forces with your husband so that your husband knows you got his back, and the two of you become a unified force and fight the outside world. Don't fight each other about the world. That's what you got to do. And the CRA is going to do everything it possibly can to get women to argue with men. The psychological terrorism that they perform is geared towards women. You don't know this, but now you do. That's what the CRA does, because they know if they can make a woman panic, she'll scream at her man. And in order to have some peace, he'll just say, fine, I'll pay the bill. Don't ever do that. Man up. Man up. You can do what I did. Hand your lady some cash. Tell her to go to a hotel. I'll deal with this. Call me and we'll get it dealt with. How do I move to Panama with my children and my ex has visitations? Well, if the kids are under 18 and your ex has visitations, you're going to have a pretty mature conversation with them. And you're going to have to find out what the legality is behind that. The last thing I would ever want to see is one parent not have access to their children in any particular deliberate type of fight. But if you're leaving for good reasons, for pure reasons, then you would be the kind of person to go and converse with your ex and make a deal of some type to have your kids leave the country and go to Panama. Perhaps your ex will move too, but don't screw a parent out of seeing their kids. It's the most sinister thing in the world you can do. Talk to each other. We're adults. All of us. We're supposed to be adults. We're supposed to set examples for our children by behaving like adults. It's time for adults in Canada and the United States to start acting like them. So I'm encouraging you to have that dialogue if you're planning on leaving. Can you put liens on cars, boats, etc., with the same result as houses, like you said? Yes, you can. Complicated, but possible. Absolutely. Your lawyer says you can't move. Okay, then you got to look at the court order and find out if the lawyer is correct. Most lawyers talk out of their asses, by the way. Most lawyers don't even read what they're presented. They just make assumptions and tell you stuff. So you have to read it. Find out what is really in there. Any solutions for SEBA? Yeah. If you've got a SEBA loan under your corporation, I can take it from you. Okay? I can rip that thing away from you and you can go right back to zero on that. But you got to get a hold of me on my website, please. I have rental income in Canada in my own home. Do I need to claim? Hell no. Why would you do that? If Tamster, if your tenants want a receipt for living there, there's nothing wrong with just going to Office Depot or Staples or any of those that might still be around and buy a receipt book and just write a receipt and give it to them. And all you do is make up a name. You're legally allowed to have aliases in Canada. You know, mine's John Smith. Because why wouldn't it be? The only name you cannot use is John Doe or Jane Doe. That you can't use those names, but you can use any other name as an alias. Write your alias down, write them their little invoice. If they think they can get right off their rent, which most likely they can't, and be done with it, keep your mouth closed about your part-time or rental incomes. Tell nobody. This happens every show. Nice hairpiece. I get told I've got a hairpiece. It's usually one of the left-wing trolls that comes in there and can't imagine that a dynamite-looking guy like me actually has his own hair. Get out of here. We don't need you to. All right. What happens if you leave your job in Canada in 2024 and don't feel like paying taxes and move to Panama? Panama's a tax shelter country. You register a corporation here in Panama, you can do business on the internet, and so long as your earnings are outside of Panama, no tax. Cheers. Do I live here year round? Tina, I live here permanently. I'm not leaving. Panama's amazing. I'm going to go travel a little bit, but Panama City is where it's at for me. I have never been treated so well anywhere in the world as I have here. I'm loving it here. Lean Look says, Kevin, you're awesome, man. All true. This place has turned into a dump. Canada is a resource colony. Yeah, I call it an economic zone. It's all theft. That's all that it is. All of it. How did you restart your life when you left? Did you have money saved? Nope. No. I had a contact that was able to work with me for a bit so I could get back on my feet. But I literally only had $900 Canadian when I left the country and went to Costa Rica to try to make a name for myself there, which was difficult because Costa Rica is expensive. Picked up and left. I just had enough. I had enough of Canada. The court injunctions especially. I mean, imagine I had a 400 square foot studio with all the lights imaginable, the soundproofing, the microphone. I flip a switch and everything would just turn on. But the court system said I couldn't talk about anything there. I did a dating show, for God's sakes, because I wasn't allowed to talk about politics in Canada. Good luck stopping me now. Yeah, the Panamanian government's not going to kick me out of the country because I'm telling the truth about pedophiles in Canada. Justin Trudeau and his ilk are not liked here. They are not popular here at all. Canada, for anybody who works in government, they all know how horrible Canada has become. So you need not worry about any of that. The government here will not be cooperating with the Canadian government in any way. Okay. Hey, Donna, good to see you again. Don't be shy. You've got my phone number. You call me anytime. Dude, it's not about believing. It's about women having women's intuition. Very powerful. What the hell does that mean? I'm sorry. I'm not following that statement. There's no such thing as intuition. There is a gut feeling, which usually is triggered by fear responses. And then people will put ideas in their head based on this trigger response that they get. We are mammals after all. We've only been around for 250,000 years. These intuitions that you say that we have, they're not intuitions. They're just knee-jerk reactions that our bodies and our minds have when dealing with stimulus. Forget intuition, man. It ain't real. What's your opinion on moving to certain states in the United States? If you're a Canadian and you don't want to start something new in a culture like Panama or Mexico or somewhere that you're not familiar with, then yeah, go to any of the Republican states. Florida's good right now. I had a guy on last week talking about how to get low interest loans to buy inexpensive housing. Texas is still good. Alabama's doing great right now. Kentucky, Tennessee, why not? Go to red states in the U.S. You'll be fine. Your crypto will never get taxed if you keep your mouth closed about it. Cooper says, I live in Mexico. We should talk. Yeah. My website. Go ahead, use the contact form. We're at 27,600 likes. I've got 6 minutes left before I got to split. So why don't we just go with those fingers there? Get the fingers moving. Let's get those numbers up. Oh, my God. Anybody supporting Trump is an enemy of the United States and everything we stand for. Gary, I have no clue why you would say something so silly, but you're entitled to because America has freedom of speech. I'm just going to move on. What's the deal with emigrating to Panama from China? Get on a plane with your passport and tell them I'm staying for 6 months. They're going to ask you if you have a plane ticket to leave. I will get you an airline reservation from American Airlines showing that you're leaving in 6 months. And they'll just go, boom, stamp your passport, 6-month visa, automatic. And they'll say, welcome to Panama. Now you get 6 months. Hang out, enjoy yourself. That's it. That's all it is. Buy property, buy a car, go to the movies, have dinner, meet a woman, whatever you want to do, man. They're going to leave you alone. The cops here do not harass me. They don't follow me around. They don't phone me at night. They don't ring my doorbell at 3 a.m. They don't do any of that stuff here. They are nice here. You'll like it here. It's dynamite. The new Mexican president, my quick thoughts are, this is not a person who was even born in Mexico. Should never have been allowed to happen. The Mexicans are about to learn a very big lesson because it looks like they've got their own Trudeau now. Brutal. Come here to Panama. The new guy is a rough and tumble guy. I can't wait to purchase an appointment to discuss my move. No problem, man. Absolutely, guys. Where am I? Panama City, the capital of Panama, the country. And one more time, for those who don't understand how the Panamanians think and do things, Panama City is in Panama province in the country of Panama, but the Panamanians do not say Panama province. They don't say Panama City. They literally say, I live in Panama, Panama, Panama. That is how they say it here. The canal is loaded. There's 42 ships a day going through the canal. There's dozens of ships that I can see out that window right now if it wasn't nighttime. And I can tell you that there is money to be made on every street corner. Oh, yes, cell phones down here. $7 for 14 days. So you got to renew every 14 days. That's the law here for some reason. But $7 for unlimited talk, text, and data. Do you know, I'm burning up every 2 weeks. I'm going through 100 gigabytes of data. 100. I'm going through a lot of data. That's all that it costs to have a phone here. Hello, everybody. Kevin J. Johnston here. Welcoming you back to another episode of The Real Estate Show. This is episode number 29, and we are just so happy to have all of you back joining us for tonight. we are going to be talking about taxes. Tonight's show is going to be all about taxes. There's just so many things that we all need to know that we don't know. Well, I know them, but I want to make sure you know them too. Because there's just so, what's the word there? There have been so many lies told by the Canada Revenue Agency and the government of Canada to the people of Canada that people really don't know who to believe or what to believe anymore. And that makes it it's going to make it very difficult for everybody. Canada, United States, England, Sweden, all these places were very high trust societies until the last 5-7 years. People are finally catching on to the fact that you should not be trusting anybody who works for government, especially not the CRA. So I know that in Australia, you're having very similar problems with the ATO, the Australian Tax Office. The IRS, well, they're insane. Like that, the American IRS is completely insane. And we are now in a position where our governments, especially in the Western world, are at war with we, the people, and we, the people, need to understand that we do have a great number of rights, and we need to exercise those rights. And that is the crux of tonight's episode. Again, episode 29 of the Real Estate and Money Show with Kevin J. Johnston. There'll be no guests tonight. Instead, I'm just going to read to you verbatim what the Canadian government has to say about the rights that you have in relation to taxes. So here we are. I'm going to start right now. This is coming right off of Canada.ca. And this is Canada.ca/EN/Canada, revenue-agency, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this long string. I'm going to read each right that you have. I'm going to make commentary on the rights that you have in Canada as a taxpayer and give examples of what each of these rights means. And if you do not believe me, just go to Google or DuckDuckGo or Cool or U.com or Yandex.com or any of them and just type in Canadian Taxpayers Bill of Rights. It'll pop up. Number one, it'll pop right up, and you can read this directly from the Canadian government's website, which I will now do. All right. Your rights, starting off with clause number 1. You have the right to receive entitlements and to pay no more and no less than what is required by law. Subtext is, under this right, you can expect to receive the benefits, credits, and refunds to which you are entitled under the law. You can also expect to pay no more and no less than the correct amount required under the law. So let's talk about that for a second, shall we? That means that they want you to pay taxes. And they say that you only have to pay up to what the law dictates that you must pay. But here's the problem for the Canada Revenue Agency. There's actually no law in Canada that says a Canadian has to pay tax. I'm going to repeat that. There's not one single solitary law in any of the tax acts that we have in Canada that says you must pay. There's a law or a statute that says you shall, not must, but shall send in a tax return. Now, we've covered this before. Let's say you do want to send a tax return into the CRA, but you just don't feel like doing any work. That's fine. You don't work for the CRA. You're also not an indentured servant in Canada. So you simply take your name, write it at the top of the page. Don't do this electronically. Write your name, put your social insurance number, top right of the form. On the last page, sign it. No numbers, no zeros, no ones, nothing. Sign it, send it in. Congratulations. Your obligations to the government are now complete. Now, they will assess you. But we're going to go further down the list here, and we're going to talk about how to appeal any assessment. Every single time that the CRA assesses you or reassesses you, you appeal. Every single time. We're going to cover that. So taxpayers' Bill of Rights. Let's go back to this now. Number 2, you have the right to service in both official languages. Okay, Canada's a country that can't make its mind up. It's got 2 official languages, French and English. Personally speaking, I think it's Farsi and Arabic, but we still have the right in Canada, even if you don't understand French, you actually have the right to speak to somebody who speaks French. You have the right to be tried in a French-speaking court in Canada, even if you don't speak French. It's ridiculous, not going to help you, but you've got the right to do it. So it says here, the subtext is the Official Languages Act gives you the right to communicate with and receive services from the federal government in English or French. The CRA is committed to providing services in both official languages. They're not committed to it. They have to do it. All right, because the CRA is just a collection agency, which means they have to abide by French and English language laws. Wasaga Beach Girls asking me if I am a lawyer. No, I am not a lawyer, but you are allowed to hire me as an agent to fight the CRA. And I'm going to cover that in this document that we are covering today. But Wasaga Beach Girl, let me sound a little bit cocky here. I know more than most lawyers. I can assure you I know more than almost every accountant you're ever going to work with in Canada about the CRA. I've had a personal vendetta against the CRA since I was 13 years of age. Earlier, actually, but a real one since I was 13. I've had a lot of time to read tax law and to get people their money back, just like TJ is suggesting there. Yes, it's possible to get all your money back, but you got to know the law and you got to know the policies and the procedures and you got to know the tricks. And I happen to know them. And that's why we're talking about taxes in tonight's show. Right number 3, you have the right to privacy and confidentiality. Under this right, you can expect us to protect and manage the confidentiality of your personal and financial information according to the laws we administer, such as the Income Tax Act, the Excise Tax Act, the Excise Act 2001, and the Privacy Act. We also take steps to protect your information and make sure it is kept confidential. Only employees who need your information to administer programs and legislation have access to your information. We know that to be a lie, by the way. We follow government-wide and internal policies on security of information and privacy. That is also a lie, by the way. The Canada Revenue Agency has and will continue to cooperate with the Chinese government. We regularly review our internal processes to make sure your information is safe. That is also a lie. The CRA is not mandated to protect your information. They're mandated to use your information to collect money from you any way they possibly can, which is why they now are pretending to be police officers when they phone you. That's what they do. So, listen to what they say here, though. The information according to the laws we administer, not enforce. Words mean everything in law. If they said enforce, then it would mean that they are a police department. But because they administer it, they are an administrative corporation. That is why the CRA does not have any right to enter your grounds. If you tell them you can't come to my property, they can't come. If you tell them you can't talk to me ever, you talk to my lawyer or my agent, being me, they can never contact you again. They have to abide by the law. And I want to say congratulations. I'm not going to name him, but one of my clients who is a teenager just won a court case with my help against the CRA. Because the CRA sucks. They have no laws that actually protect them, but we have laws that protect us. Wasaga Beach Girl, if you are going to be selling property and you don't want to pay the capital gains tax, get a hold of me. I know exactly how to get rid of that tax legally. All right. Your right number 4. This is clause 4 in the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. You have the right to a formal review and subsequent appeal. Well, of course you do. They're not court. You can appeal anything. If, let's say, you're a hockey coach and you get suspended by a referee, you can appeal that to the league. And if they ignore you, appeal it to the courts. You can appeal anything in Canada, period. So the subtext is, this means that you are entitled to a formal review of your file if you believe you have not received your full entitlements under the law, or if you've not been able to reach an agreement with us on tax or penalty matter. So a formal review. Got to be careful with these. Who conducts the review? Well, they want you to believe that it's only them. You have the right to hire a third-party arbitrator. I'm going to cover that more towards the end of the show. But you can have a third-party arbitrator take over the position of running this review, if you will, this appeal, that like, okay, with the CRA, they're always going to tell you that you got to pay tax. They always say this. They're liars. Even if you did like $1.9 million in sales and your taxes were like what, 400 grand, and you paid every little bit of that 400 grand right to the penny, you know what they're going to say? Oh, we're sending you a tax bill for $2,150, because they know about 1 million corporations are just going to pay that small amount. So they've just made, like 20, 200, whatever million. That's how they do things. They're just always saying you owe us money. Always. You have the right to a review and subsequent appeal, which is why with the Canada Revenue Agency, it's probably the same with the Australian Tax Office, and it's definitely the same with the IRS. You can appeal. You can also just go ahead and sue them. And the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, they lose in court about 97% of the time. So sue them. Take them to court. They don't even defend lawsuits anymore. They don't have the manpower. They hired a whole bunch of non-English speaking foreigners who are stupid, like really low intelligence quotients, to take over the job of harassing good, kind, loving Canadians who actually pay their taxes to give to people that don't pay taxes. So why cooperate with them? All we're going to do is make sure that we write the appropriate legalese, and in writing the appropriate legal letters to them, we will then have them in the position where they are squirming. You always want to be on the attack with the CRA, which means that because you've got that right to file an appeal, you guys got to stop phoning the CRA. Yeah, there's a serious problem with Canadians. I'm going to tell you this right now. And this bothers me about Canadians. You all think that because you are a moral person, that you're going to be able to just tell the truth to the CRA, and they're going to say, oh, okay, right, okay, you didn't get our tax paperwork, and oh, your mother has cancer, and your father just died 3 days ago, and your wife just miscarried. Oh, okay, well, we're going to give you a couple of weeks. No, they don't care. These are not human beings that work for the CRA. These are pigs that work for the CRA. You all need to change your mindsets, everyone. The Canada Revenue Agency does not employ human beings. It employs monsters. But it employs monsters with no teeth and no claws and no brains and no backing. All the CRA does is they issue threats. And because most of your employers out there are cowards, they say, oh, the CRA sent a letter. I better do what I'm told. Instead of sending off a letter saying, hi, CRA, don't ever communicate with me again, or I will charge you criminally. Your boss could say that. Your employer could have some balls and say that. But you know what? It's just, I don't want the hassle. I don't want the headache. And CRA, they send me a letter, and if I don't do it, they're going to audit me. Yeah, that's how you all think. And then you think you can get on the phone and say, well, I don't want an audit. We're not doing very well. You honestly think that they care. Do not call the Canada Revenue Agency. As I told you, you're speaking to morons. They are morons. They are immoral, completely immoral, self-centered morons who like the idea that you're begging them, that they've got some power over you. They love it. They get off on it. Anybody who gets off on power like that, honestly speaking, is not a human being. So if you are from the CRA, and you probably are watching, because I know that you guys are not a fan of me, understand this. I view you as my playthings. You are not human beings. None of you are. It's only a matter of time before the Canadian audience out there watches enough of the information that I'm giving to them to bring forward the revenue that I'm going to require to find out every single thing about every single one of you. And do you think for a second that I'm not going to publish that list? Your names, your home addresses, your phone numbers, your bank account balances. Like, I will eventually get all that information. It's only a matter of time. You can't hold me back because I'm determined and I hate you. And hatred is an incredibly powerful motivator. It is actually the most powerful motivator that human beings have. It's almost more so than love is. And because I hate the CRA, because I hate what they do to human beings, I hate the fact that they have destroyed lives and they drive people to suicide. Honestly speaking, if I was ever in this lifetime to be in a position of power, And mark my words on this. You can take this to the bank. If I was ever in a position of power inside the Canadian government, I would immediately write an emergency law stating that all of you needed to be rounded up. And I'd put you, about 75 of you, in one jail cell, just cram you in so you have to share the same toilet and whatnot, because I despise you that much. You don't need to treat you don't need to treat animals with dignity. You just don't. CRA are animals. So I want to just cover the fact, everybody, you don't phone the Canada Revenue Agency. You're not going to talk them out of anything. You contact me, and you can hire me as your agent. And I'm going to cover that a little bit later on. And we're going to send off all the appropriate letters that we need to send off to the Canada Revenue Agency to inform them of what laws they're breaking and what rights we are invoking. So let's go back to this. I'll just share my screen again. And here we go. So for everybody who's watching on Rumble, you can actually read along with me. We're going to go now to right number 5. This is clause 5, everybody, of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. You have, check this one out. You're going to love this. You have the right to be treated professionally, courteously, and fairly, which they don't do. They shout, they scream, they threaten, they lie, they do all the above. So if you've got that right, that means the second that you feel like you're being sworn at, yelled at, intimidated, lied to, so on, call the police. Call the police. Every single human being in Canada who is being phoned or harassed by the Canada Revenue Agency, call the police. You pay taxes for a reason. The cops may or may not take a note down, but let's just say 20% of cops actually either file a charge or they issue a report number to you. The report number is going to be enough for you to go to the courthouse and file criminal charges against them. It's called laying a private information. Okay? A private information means you go to a Canadian courthouse, any courthouse in Canada, and say that you'd like to file a private information, which are criminal charges, against an individual. And let's just say 1 million Canadians all went to the courthouses and started charging all of these CRA people with intimidation. That's 5 years in jail, Section 423. Extortion, fraud over 5,000, theft over 5,000, conspiracy to commit fraud, conspiracy to steal, or conspiracy to commit larceny. Like, these are all kinds of charges. We just pile on these people. Pile on. Because you know what will happen when these losers get charged? They start to cry and they quit their jobs, and the CRA is going to start changing their policies and say, oh, if you get charged, you don't contact us and we'll help you. Oh, they won't. Because I'll tell you this, if the Crown, we know Daystar, the Crown, is probably going to stay the charges. We know that. Doesn't change the fact that one might get through. So 1 million people file charges, one. It just takes one to go through. And the precedent is set. And when one is done, you get case law, which would be Smith versus CRA or Smith versus whatever working for the CRA. One gets through, precedent gets set, and we're good to go. There's still a couple of conservative judges left in the country who know the CRA are liars and thieves and criminals. And they can't hide behind their benches forever. At some point, something has to break. But we have to collectively, as people, as a country, do it together. All of us do. Fill the courthouses with this stuff. Just waste as much time as you can of the courts and make sure the courts are not there prosecuting people except the CRA. And when you find out, when the person gets charged, then we find out that CRA's home address and whatnot, and we start to file lawsuits against them. If we find out, look, if anybody knows where CRA staff members live, let me know, because I'm going to help people file lawsuits against them and put liens on their properties. This is what we need to do, everybody. The Canada Revenue Agency staff need to be punished. Let's take their stuff away. We can do this, you know. We can do this. If they're going to break the law, we charge them. As soon as we find out where we live, we use the law to take away their stuff. We can win this. But you all got to do it. You got to stop being afraid of these people. They are not a police force at all. And they tell lies like this, where you have the right to be treated professionally, courteously, and fairly. Let me just read the subtext on this one. You can expect us to treat you courteously and with consideration at all times. If that was the case, they wouldn't phone you in the first place, including when we ask for information or arrange interviews and audits. You do not ever cooperate with an interview or an audit. You have the right to say, no, thank you. Oh, by the way, you are officially banned. We send trespass notices in, and they work, because if you tell them you've been trespassed and they show up, you can call the police. And if you feel threatened, you're allowed to defend yourself. You can't shoot them or kill them. But, if they start getting really aggressive and put their face in your face, defend yourself. Or throw yourself on the ground and just pretend you're passed out and say they hit you. I don't normally go with tactics like that, but because we're dealing with the Canada Revenue Agency, I'm fine with that. You have no idea how fun I am lying about the fact that they've done something illegal. Who gives a crap? That's all the CRA does. We have to fight them their way. Everyone says, well, why don't we walk the high road? Because it doesn't work. That's why. So you can be as polite and whatnot as you want, but it's not going to work. When you're dealing with evil, you have to become evil incarnate, but you must control your chaos, right? So you need to fight them dirtier than they fight you. That's a fact. Anybody wants to get a hold of me, my website address is right up here in the bio. It's my name, kevinjjohnston.me. That's kevinjjohnston.me. If you're watching on Rumble, Facebook, DLive, Twitch, Twitter, where else are we? Restream, I don't know, Kick. If you're on any of those, in the bottom right corner, you will see on there. There we go. Right here, kevinjjohnston.com. It'll take you directly to my site where you can grab yourself a 1-hour consultation. Let's go back to your taxpayer's Bill of Rights. So number 5, we know it's a joke. They're not going to be courteous with you at all. They are a bunch of liars. And senior citizens, you are correct. The guy from TikTok, seniors should not be paying taxes. But the Canada Revenue Agency doesn't care, because seniors are an easy target. Although I will say this to senior citizens out there, I don't understand how it is that you can go through your teen years and your young adult years, your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on, and you get dumber with age. You become more afraid of things. I don't understand. I don't get it. So this is something that senior citizens out there need to do. You need to understand that you are afraid of everything because you've put ideas in your own head. My mother was a prime example of that. She always was crying, saying, CRA is going to put me in jail. And she would say this at random times, like random times. I'm really worried about the CRA, what they're going to do. They might put us in jail this year, Hey, I'm eating dinner and I'm dropping my fork. What are you talking about? Where do thoughts like this come from? But that's how senior citizens are. You got to stop. So contact me before you talk to them and say something stupid. You have the right to remain silent, everybody, which means shut up. Don't talk to the police. Don't talk to judges. Don't talk to crown attorneys. Don't talk to the CRA. Don't talk to bylaw officers. Don't talk to the CRA. Don't talk to the CRA. Do not talk to the CRA. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to refuse an audit. You have the right to refuse all requests and demands that they make. And I got another thing I really want to say here. I will never name names when I give you examples, but I do want to say someone told me something frightening today, terrifying, that he had a member of his family who has a friend who's a bookkeeper, and the bookkeeper said, the CRA wants you to guarantee your corporate debt personally. I suggest you sign it and send it to them. My mind, wow. I was instantaneously livid. Let me tell you something about bookkeepers. They know nothing. They know nothing about accounting. They know nothing about tax law. They know nothing about the CRA, and they're not lawyers. And that individual actually gave my client legal advice. If you're not a lawyer, you can't give legal advice. I do not give legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. But I tell you what your rights are, and I tell you what the strategy is that I'm recommending, and then you tell me what you want to do, and that's how it works. So imagine you're going to your bookkeeper saying, hey, I don't understand tax law. And your bookkeeper, who doesn't understand tax law, says, oh, just sign whatever they want and send it in. It's okay. you need to get slapped for that. All right. This is not supposed to be a politically charged show, but it's getting charged because when I hear these things, I feel bad for the person that's being told this. But now I'm coming across the fact that bookkeepers and accountants in Canada are completely useless people. They don't know anything. If you want to know tax law, go to a tax lawyer. But you better talk to one who's been in the game for 10, 15, 20 years. But I can almost guarantee you that I know more about Canadian tax law than lawyers do because I've been studying these people for 40 years. Personal vendettas are a wonderful thing, man. I have been committed to this because I hate the entire institution and I hate everybody who works for it. And I wish to see them all fall hard. That is what I do. And here's the other good part for everybody who wants to talk with me and hire me to represent them in tax law or tax problems or taxation restructuring or anything else. I'm not licensed by anybody anywhere in Canada. So I'm not a licensed accountant. I do all the accounting work for my clients and then I move it on to a CPA who then will sign off on everything. But I put all of the responsibility and the onus on me. That's what I do because I'm not licensed. I can't tell anybody I'm an accountant because I'm not. I proudly state I'm not an accountant. I actually know what I'm doing. I'm not licensed and I ergo have no license to lose. There's no disciplinary body that can discipline me for anything. The other thing I am not is a lawyer nor a paralegal. Why? I would never want to be a member of the Canadian court system. The court system in Canada is disgusting. It was actually going out of business a while ago. So between the years 2000 and about 2018, the Canadian courts were losing money and the judges were being laid off and cops were being laid off because Canadians were not committing enough crimes. So the courts in Canada issued a mandate to go and arrest people. They took away the power of discretion from police and said, if anyone does anything, just arrest them, put them in the system because we need our jobs. So what's happened here is Canadian prisons are now full of people who've done nothing wrong because cops have been told to arrest everybody for anything, no matter what. So that way the lawyers have work to do and the crown attorneys have work to do and the judges, they get to keep their jobs and the prison guards get to keep their jobs. Prison guards, check this out in Canada. Because you all know that the Canadian government got really upset with me when I cost Justin Trudeau $100 million, which I'm still very proud of today. Mwah, to there and to there. I am very, like the RCMP broke 3 of my ribs over that whole thing, but totally worth it, man. Totally worth it. So when they take me to Maplehurst Prison in the province of Ontario, Canada, the guard who's checking me in, he says to me, where's the sheet of paper? Where's the paper? We may have to let this guy go. They couldn't find a piece of paper anywhere. And then he looks at me and puts this piece of paper down and says, okay, this piece of paper here says I can hold you here. I said, well, hold on. What? The piece of paper says you can hold me here, but not must hold me here. I need you to clarify that for me before I talk to you any further. Because I was content to sit in the lobby of the jail for the next month if I had to. I wasn't moving until I got clarification. So here's the way the Canadian jails work. The jails are either privately owned or they have private investors, and they all want to make money. How do they make money? They have to fill the jails. Why? Because the province pays the jails for every inmate they have. All right? So the jails need customers, which would not be anybody willingly going. In order for them to get customers, they got to count on the cops and the judges and the crowns to arrest and convict people, even wrongfully, mostly wrongfully, so that they get sent to the jail system where they get a piece of paper saying you can hold this person. I was honestly going to be released right there on the spot if they were unable to find that piece of paper from the judge. That's how it was going to work. And they actually had the discretion to let me go because they have a piece of paper that says they can hold me in jail, not they must. You want to know why people are leaving Canada en masse? It's because Canada is a very crooked, evil place. That's how the courts work. And now the Canada Revenue Agency is going out of its way to pretend to be these people, and they're not. And people are falling for it. And you all think you can talk your way out of things, man. Come on. These are evil, rotten to the core people who have no soul and don't care if you're dead or whatnot. So long as they get that little bit of cash out of you, they'll just move on to the next individual. Kimberlina, my website. Could people put my website address, please, in the chat? If you're on TikTok, just type in kevinjjohnston.me, kevinjjohnston.me, and my contact form is there, everyone. Please do get a hold of me there if you've got tax problems. I'm just going to check your questions here. Okay. Hi, Chris. Yeah, we're talking tomorrow morning. I'm looking forward to it myself. Stop saying literally. I'm not sure that I would hire someone that claims to be driven by vengeance. I would. Let's talk philosophically about that word for a second. Revenge is a human right as far as I am concerned. The books have to be balanced. Every man has the right to balance his own accounts. They really do. When the CRA, or at the time they were called Revenue Canada, when they took away 1/3 of my parents' wealth, it screwed our family up for 5 years. It took 5 years to recover from that. My brother and I had to go to work at age 11 and age 13, at the same time there to help balance it all out. Not that working was bad for me. It actually taught me a lot, but that's what the CRA did. Vengeance will be mine. I'm driven. So if any of you out there want my hate and my fueled rage about these people to work for you, let me know, because I enjoy hurting them. Whereas the average accountant is terrified of them. They're terrified of me. There is a huge difference. All right. Check a few more things here. I'm just checking questions as we're going through. That's right. The guy from TikTok, they do care if you're dead so they can tax your estate. And if anybody out there has a family member who's dead or dying, the CRA, you never contact them until 2 years after you've closed everything up. Then you do your dead relatives or loved ones taxes at that point. If you have someone passing away or has passed away, get a hold of me first, because you're going to make mistakes. Not that you're bad people, but because the CRA knows the rules and you don't. But I know them too. So we certainly can attack them there. Let's go back to the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, and we're going to go to clause number 6. You have the right to complete, accurate, clear, and timely information. You can expect us to provide you with complete, accurate, and timely information in plain language, explain the laws and policies that apply to your situation. They don't explain them. That's a lie. What they'll do in a letter is they'll tell you, we're taking money due to Excise Tax Act, Clause 19, blah, blah. That's all they'll do. They explain nothing. They're frigging liars. That whole clause right there is a lie. And let me back it up with more evidence here. Since January of this year, today, I wrote my 500th letter to the CRA on behalf of clients. 500 letters. The CRA has replied to one of those letters, just one. So they don't do anything timely. And even though you've got the right to timely information, they don't do it. They don't care. They don't have to. They get to keep their jobs no matter how poorly they do them or how poorly they treat us. So there we go. Rhonda Parsons says, my uncle passed away and the lawyer cashed all his stock in except for 2, which was about $1 million. You have to charge that lawyer criminally and sue him and the firm. Also, you have to find out what his insurance bond number is and sue the insurance company on top of that. Hit him hard. Hit him hard. All right, let's go back to the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights for Canadians. Clause number 7. Now, this one here, I have invoked this one for a couple of clients, and it has worked in a couple of different capacities. Let's cover this. Your right, number 7, states that unless otherwise provided by law, you have the right to not pay income tax amounts in dispute before you've had an impartial review. Okay. They say you owe us taxes. And I say, no, I don't. Go straight to hell. And they say, well, yes, you do. And I say, you know what? I'm calling the AIN, or I'm going to call some private company, private arbitration company, or I might just go to the courts and I'm going to ask for a third party intervention here. It's called a review, third-party impartial review. Once you've initiated that with the CRA, they are no longer allowed to penalize you. They can't keep harassing you because the hearing date must come up at a future time, and that puts everything on hold until that hearing is reviewed and you lose. But if you win, then you win. If you lose, then they start putting all the fees back on top of everything. Doesn't change the fact that in that time, we can still figure out who the individual CRA officer is, do our very best to get a private investigator hired, find them, sue them, put liens on their property, and publish all their private information. But don't do it, okay? If you're going to publish the private information of any government employee, you must do it legally. And here's how you do it legally. File a lawsuit with their information on it. And once that thing's been filed and stamped by the court, it's a public document, then you're free to pass it around to the whole wide world. All right? There was a couple of bad politicians that people wanted to track down. I tracked them down. I legally sued them for $1. I sued them for $1. All right? And because I filed the $1 lawsuit, I was able, with that $1 lawsuit, to publish it. Home address, everything's on it. And they got sued by other people because my good efforts were then spotted by the outside world. And they said, oh, yeah, I got to sue that guy too. So there we go. And we have the right to do these things. Laura Lee Campbell, this is a part and parcel to what I said earlier in the show. If you have a son or a daughter or a family member in a psychiatric ward and you're taking care of them, CRA doesn't care. Don't tell them sob stories. Go on the attack with lawsuits. Go on the attack with the appropriate legal letters and legal documents. Attack, attack, attack. No mercy for CRA staff. Remember, I've told you, they are not human beings. They are toys for us to enjoy playing with. And we all need to adopt that thought process. Also, let's just say, and I'm not encouraging anyone to commit acts of violence, but let me tell you what's going to happen. Because the government's become so militant in Canada, and because the Canada Revenue Agency has also become so militant in Canada, people are going to start shooting. That's just how it is. Even the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are concerned. They wrote a report saying that when Canadians finally figure out how broke they are, they're going to turn to violence. Every civilization that was overtaxed always went to violence. And when the CRA staff members start getting attacked, and there's going to be a jury trial for the person who attacked them, we collectively as people must say, no, not guilty. Why? Because the law only pertains to human beings, right? Persons, as they call them. And if we go into these courtrooms as a unified jury saying, if they work for the CRA, they are not human beings, let's just, whatever is brought up, even if the guy's guilty as sin who shot the CRA guy in the face, let's just say not guilty. That sends a message to all the CRA staff. Yeah. And to the government in general, that we the people are done. We're not putting up with this stuff anymore. So we all need to change how we think about the Canada Revenue Agency. You need to hate them as much as I do, and then go on the attack. Right? And when I say attack, I don't mean turn to violence. I mean, we find out who they are, where they live. We start taking away their houses with lawsuits and with third-party arbitration. We start putting liens on their properties. We start publishing all their personal information. We let the whole world know who they are, what they look like, where they live, everything. This is what we do to defeat the CRA. Let's continue on. I just want to cover clause number 7 is the most powerful clause in the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights in Canada. This is the one that you're going to use. You are constantly going to go out of your way, everybody, to ensure that you invoke right number 7. I want an impartial review. I am invoking this. And you can there is a third-party arbitrator that we know of who are completely impartial. If you wanted to, you can take your case to them and they will hear the case. And if the CRA chooses not to show up and defend, you're going to win by default. And then you take that victory from the tribunal against the Canada Revenue Agency and you sue them in court, you're going to win there too. If an 18-year-old kid, client of mine, can beat the CRA in court, which happened this past Wednesday, then any of you could do the same thing. And I salute this kid. Brave kid comes to me saying he wants vengeance. I said, so do I. Let's do it. We can win this, everybody. But we got to become a unified force against the CRA because they're taking everything from us. Let's move on to Taxpayers' Bill of Right number 8. You have the right to have the law applied consistently. Well, we know this one's also untrue, but you can still quote this when you're dealing with the CRA. It is your right to have us apply the law consistently so everyone gets their entitlements and pays the right amount. But there is no law that says you have to pay income tax. So they've already shot themselves in the foot with Clause 1 and with Clause 8. We will take your particular circumstances into account as allowed by law. This is where some of you might think that pleading poverty is going to help. You can plead poverty, but you got to do it through a guy like myself with the appropriate legalese, the appropriate legal documents. We want to get this all done. Damon, he was awarded $10,000 in the lawsuit that happened on Wednesday. And also the judge wrote down that his CRA debt is now gone because the CRA was unwilling to prove that there was a debt. All right. Can you help with CEWS and what people are dealing with? K-Curd, that's a possibility. Get a hold of me on my website and we can certainly talk about that. All right. And how do you not pay income tax? Mohammed, I'm going to cover that one on next week's show. Tonight, we're covering what your rights are to do with taxes. So they say that in right number 8, accuracy and consistency are essential in the administration of tax legislation. We take a number of measures to make sure that we administer legislation in a consistent manner across the country. These measures include systematically analyzing the most common errors made by taxpayers and steps to prevent them. Right? Okay, which means we're going to try to screw you even though Clause 8 says we can't. Training our employees, training them to steal from you and how to lie to you and threaten you. They do that. Issuing technical directives, which right now is using artificial intelligence to write lies to the people. That's what they're doing. AI is writing lies to people. Then reviewing our technical publications for accuracy. They're not accurate to you, the people. They're accurate to themselves. There you go. All right. So moving on, not moving on yet. Sorry. I just want to cover here that they say accuracy and consistency are essential in the administration of tax legislation, not the enforcement. They are not a police department. The Canada Revenue Agency has zero rights to harass you, needle you, step foot on your property, or even to audit you. They don't have the right to do it. They say they do, but you contact me and we get rid of the audit. I've done that for over 4 dozen people this year alone. The audit's not happening. And on top of that, we also issue trespass notices to the CRA employee. They call themselves officers, losers, the CRA criminal. We just send out trespass notices to those individuals by fax, and they have to abide by them. And then we take that same trespass notice and we put it on the front door, the side door, the windows, and the end of the driveway of whatever property they said that they were going to come to. If you cooperate with an audit, they will screw you. They'll just write things down. But if you don't cooperate with an audit, then the best they can do is an assessment. But because they can't prove anything, you utilize Clause 7 and Clause 4 of your rights to have an appeal done with a hearing, and that's it. You're just never going to get taxed if you keep being aggressive with this criminal enterprise. Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, Clause 9. You have the right to lodge a service complaint and be provided with an explanation in our findings. You can expect that if you make a service-related complaint, you'll be listened to. That's a lie. And given the opportunity to explain your situation. That's okay. You can explain it, but they're going to ignore you. We will deal with your complaint promptly and in confidence, and we'll explain our findings. I've seen some of these letters where they explain their findings, and they usually just say that we disagree with you, and we're going to assess you anyway. That's all they do. Generally, service refers to the quality and timeliness, of the work we perform. They don't work, they just lie. A service complaint could involve having received unclear or misleading information, staff behavior matters, mistakes, or undue delays. So under Clause 9, as soon as a CRA representative contacts you, file a complaint. Even if they were polite, file a complaint. The hell with them. Who cares if they lose their job? They're trying to steal your house. Who cares? File a complaint no matter what. Clause 10. You have the right to have the cost of compliance taken into account when administering tax legislation. Wait till you hear this crock of crap, because this has never happened. We recognize the need to minimize the time, effort, and costs you have to incur to comply with the tax and benefit legislation we administer. At the same time, we have a duty to protect Canada's tax base by ensuring the highest possible level of tax compliance. Right? You heard that? So you have the right to not pay tax, but they say that they're going to try to get you to pay tax. That's exactly what they just said here. We believe that most individuals and businesses, given the opportunity, information, and tools, will voluntarily comply with the law. But there is no law. There's no law that says you have to pay. That's it. There's procedures, but there's no law that says give them money. To promote this type of voluntary compliance, listen to this. To promote this type of voluntary compliance, we try to make your dealings with us as straightforward and convenient as possible by offering services through multiple channels, including the internet, telephone, and mail. But you're not allowed to email them anything. So that's a lie. Being practical in our interactions with you by reducing and simplifying whenever possible and appropriate the work, time, and effort for you to devote in preparing your taxes. But again, I've covered this with you. You don't have to prepare taxes for them. You just take a tax return in Canada, name, social insurance number, signature, put nothing else on it, no numbers, nothing else, mail it in, done. They'll assess you, you appeal. There we go. So Chucky Money, where do you make a complaint with the CRA? Head office is in Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. You can fax in your complaint or you can send it in by registered mail. If you just type in all Canada Revenue Agency mailing addresses, there's a full list that comes up of every single one of them, including phone numbers and fax numbers. And all of you, if you get a single letter from the Canada Revenue Agency, file a complaint. You're terrified. You're afraid. You feel like you're being threatened. You don't sleep at night. You think the CRA is looking in your windows. You can say all this stuff. It doesn't matter what you say you believe. They can't prove it. Right? There you go. There you go. Let's talk about Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, Clause 11. You have the right to expect us to be accountable. Yeah, okay, good luck on this one. But you can make them accountable by taking them into the courts. Drag them into the courts. File a complaint. You file your complaint, everybody, to Bob Hamilton, who's the commissioner of the Canada Revenue Agency. He's a loser, tall, skinny, lanky guy. He's really just a talking head. He talks on CPAC and other places like that. But he does exist. That we know. And if you send the complaint to him, and in your letter, you demand a response within 15 days, or you will litigate and then litigate. Because I promise you, they're not going to get back to you. They don't get back to people at all. All right. Damon, if a relative of yours needs an MRI, yeah, we get them done for people here in Panama. That's what I do. I've got my new health business getting MRIs and CT scans opening up in 2 weeks here in Panama. So get a hold of me. All right. So when they say expect us to be accountable, here's what their subtext. You have the right to expect us to be accountable for what we do. Okay, good. Then sue them. Just file suits. Hold them to account. When we make a decision about your tax or benefit affairs, we will explain that decision. No, they don't. And tell you about your rights and obligations. They tell you about your obligations. They give you about 500 ways to pay them, but they don't tell you about your rights. Never. They just don't. In fact, they told one of my clients he was not allowed to have a lawyer for an audit. That's illegal. That's legal advice. They actually gave him legal advice to not get legal advice. Holy crap. What a bunch of criminals. So we are accountable through Parliament to all Canadians. We report to Parliament on our performance and the results we achieve against our service standards. No, they report to Justin Trudeau's party right now how much money they've made. That's all they do, which is why you always have to invoke Clause 4, Clause 7 invoke it and also file complaints. We have to fill their fax machines up with complaints. We have to make it impossible for them to deal with any of us. Now, Samantha, I see you. You're not being blocked. I can see you. Right number 12. You have the right to relief from penalties and interest under tax legislation because of extraordinary circumstances. Subtext. This means that we will consider your request to waive or cancel all or part of any penalty and interest charges if you are prevented from complying with your tax obligations. You don't have tax obligations because of circumstances beyond your control. So this is where all of you make statements. You tell them, sorry, I was diagnosed with brain cancer and I was unable to focus for 3 years. You can write that letter. Now, who diagnosed you? I don't know. Pick a deity. You know, there's 150,000 deities out there. Pick one. Baal, Shiva. Yeah, I don't care. Who cares? Pick one. Lie. These people lie. Lie to them. Extraordinary circumstances. I couldn't think because I had brain cancer. I'm all better now. I'd like to solve my problem. But better yet, you have me write those letters for you, so you're not even accountable for what you say. All right? That's what you need to do. Is if you do decide to go the route of pleading poverty or pleading medical, you got to do it in writing. Don't phone them. These people are crooks. They don't care. They laugh at you on the phone. You know that, right? You know, at the CRA, they got these big call centers and they've got the phones like this and they're going like, this idiot's got cancer. He thinks we're crazy. And they'll start laughing at you. That's what the CRA does. They're worse than cops ever were. So think about that, everyone. You are a joke to people if you make phone calls. Do everything in writing. There you go. And Turbo, I'm sorry you got yourself a brain tumor there. That's horrible. And that would be an extenuating circumstance that you would actually be able to get your fees and penalties removed. But the problem with them is that they're going to state that they want evidence. We want your medical records. We want your x-rays. This is stuff they have no right to, by the way. And what they're trying to tell you, the CRA tries to tell you that you're guilty until proven innocent. That's not how it works. No. Hold on a second, CRA. You're accusing us of owing you taxes. Prove it. Prove it. You're assessing us, which means you're lying. That's all that it means. We're guessing. We're lying. We want money, so we're lying to you. That's what an assessment is. So we say, okay, we're appealing your assessment, and you can prove to the judge that we owe money. Good luck. Because if you take my advice, everyone, which is not legal advice, it's just life advice, if you never talk to the CRA, they will never have evidence against you. Period. Now, don't threaten them on the phone. Every single member of the CRA honestly deserves a bullet and a knife and a bludgeon to the skull. They deserve it, but it's illegal to do it. It's also illegal to tell them that you're going to do it. It's uttering threats, and they might even charge you with assault. Do you know that? In Canada, if you tell someone that you're going to kick their ass, they can charge you with assault. The country's become soft and very sick. So don't threaten them on the phone. Contact me. We'll send out the appropriate legal litigation threat. We're allowed to threaten them for litigation. And then if you really, look, if you got, let's say you're a corporation, you got a spare $5 million sitting around and they're going to try to tax you for half of that, right? Contact me. Let's take some of your lovely money. We'll hire a private eye. We're going to find out where this guy lives and we'll make an example of him because you'll have the money to fight him in the court and put liens on his property. And I can't wait to help you do that because I know how to do that, which is a wonderful thing. So, Taxpayers Bill of Right number 13, you have the right to expect us to publish our service standards and report annually. All right, so they put that on their own website. Right? This is a stupid right because they are a corporation contracted by the federal government to steal money from people, so they kind of have to do this. But it doesn't matter that they have to do this. They don't put all their accurate records out for everyone. That's one of the biggest problems. Hold on a second here. Change the World said, it's not their fault. It's who's behind them putting the idea in their head that you owe them money. If I tell you, Change the World, to stomp on someone's child and you do it, you're worse than I am. Don't ever think that the one giving out the orders is the only one who's guilty. The ones who carry out the orders are worse than the one who issued the order because the one who issued the order wasn't brave enough to conduct that particular egregious service will call it on their own. So think through what you're saying there. If a collection agent who works for the Canada Revenue Agency makes the phone call and threatens you, and they're doing it because they're following orders, remember, that defense didn't work for the Nazis either at Nuremberg. They still all hanged. Don't think I have any sympathy for any of them. They're all criminals. They're all dirt, and they deserve to be behind bars for what they're doing. Yes, we all have a choice. That is correct. Canada Crafter B. Hickey, we all have a choice. And if someone issues a command to me to hurt someone, the answer is no. And if I was to watch you try to hurt an innocent party, I'd stop you. So there we go. It sucks that there's very few moral people left anymore. Do not expect morality from the CRA. You're not going to get it. Right number 14, you have the right to expect us to warn you about questionable tax schemes in a timely manner. All right, so what happens here from time to time, a good tax shelter comes up and the CRA catches on to it. And about 5 or 6 years later, a law gets written to close that loophole up. What they'll do is they'll lie to you before the legislation gets changed. The CRA will lie to you and say that, oh, this is a questionable tax scheme. Don't do it. Don't save money on taxes because, we say so. That's all that means. So clause number 14 of your rights is just them trying to keep you from knowing what even more of your rights are. Okay, 1 second there. Change the World says, yes, they're working for a company and getting paid. The question is, do they know what they are doing? If you pick up the telephone and threaten somebody, you know what you're doing. That's it. You've now uttered threats. If you tell someone, you do what I say or else I will hurt you, that's intimidation. That's section 423 of the Criminal Code, 5 years in prison. So change the world. What are you doing? Defending the CRA? As far as I'm concerned, when they're taking your money from you, they are killing your children. They're murderers. That's how I see it. So they're the ones doing the killing from the phone. Now, they get no mercy from me at all. Okay. Clause number 15. You're going to love this one. I am not a lawyer. However, I am the most knowledgeable guy right now on TikTok in Canada to do with taxes in Canada. Ready? You have the right to be represented by a person of your choice. You can choose a person to represent you and get advice about your tax benefits and affairs. Once you authorize us to deal with this person, we can discuss your situation with your representative. However, you are still legally responsible for your tax and benefit affairs. Yeah, well, we'll work on that. Even if you choose to have someone act for you. So I had a client where the judge knows who I am. All the judges in Canada know who I am. They don't like me because I teach people how to fight them. Well, this judge says, you can't have Kevin J. Johnston represent you because he's not a lawyer. Well, there it is right there. It's right there. Clause 15. I'm going to read it verbatim. Clause 15 of the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights, directly from Canada.ca, the official website of the Government of Canada. Clause 15, you have the right to be represented by a person of your choice. Ta-da! So we appealed that decision from the judge, and my client's going to get off scot-free because that judge was a retard, loser, and dick. I don't like Kevin J. Johnston because he's a loudmouth podcaster. So I'm not going to let you win this case. That's what he wrote or typed on his little book. Which is why I'm telling all of you out there, if you feel like you want to deal with your tax problems, I'm allowed to represent you against the CRA. And I happen to have a very good team behind me. Very, very good team. And thank you for Polo Canuck saying I would nominate you to be a federal judge. Why do we put up with liberal shills? Because conservative people had an opportunity to fight back when all this garbage started happening and nobody did. All right. Like the second that you see your country's beginning to crash, you got to do something about it. All right. Everybody, remember Justin Trudeau. What's the first thing Trudeau did in office? As soon as he got in, what's the first law he passed? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. He legalized bestiality. That's the first thing he did. And Canadians went, oh, he's so cute. He's got nice hair. I'm so happy that we have Trudeau. Yeah. I blame Canadians for that. Then he went out and he said that Canada was going to become the world's first post-national state. The new prime minister went on Fox News and said that he was going to destroy Canada. Look what he's done. 8 years. 8 years. He's 9 now. He's been doing his best to destroy the country. And Edmonton Prophet? No, it's not happening everywhere. I live in Panama. I moved to Panama. None of that crap is happening here at all. The Panamanian government right now is building a new highway to go from Panama City to the Costa Rican border. They're putting a 44-kilometer elevated train up. There are 3 subway lines in Panama City that are cleaner, faster, and better than Toronto and Montreal. Excuse me. The airport is top notch. It's better than Pearson International Airport in Toronto. It's better than Vancouver's airport. It's better than all the airports in Canada that I've been to here in Panama. No, Canada's crap is not happening here. I'm going to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, everybody. Today, I had a plate, 14-inch plate with a little bit of rice, lots of lentils, lots of beef, lots of chicken, right? And a little bit of spice on it. And it cost me $2. Cost me $2 in a restaurant, prepared for me. And the guy gave me a glass of water for free. And he's like, smiles like, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I gave him a $1 tip. So $3 for an amazing lunch. I'm still full right now. That's Panama. It's not happening everywhere. There's a lot of countries around the world, everyone, who are doing quite well. And Panama is doing incredibly well. You want to make money? Come to Panama. There's money on every street corner in this country, everywhere. So that's clause 15. And the final clause of your taxpayer's Bill of Rights, everyone. You have the right to lodge a service complaint and request a formal review without fear of reprisal. So twice now, they've said that you can review and appeal. Plus, you can complain, which means we, the people of Canada, must file complaints against every single CRA representative. As soon as they contact you, file a complaint. All right? You do it to the Sudbury office. You put Bob Hamilton's name on it, mail it in, fax it in, done. You want to send a fax for free? Because I know that nobody watching has a fax machine anymore. FAX, fax, Z-E-R-O, fax0.com. Free faxes. 3 pages you can send for free. Hold on. So Truth Matters. Why were you on the phone for 2.5 hours with the CRA? Why the friggin' hell are you don't phone them. They're on a fishing expedition. Get a hold of me. I'll put them at bay using all the appropriate legal letters. That is what we do. What does one say on the complaint? Tell the truth. You got a phone call from somebody completely unsolicited, and they intimidated me, and now I am fear-filled that the CRA is coming to my home to cause egregious harm to me and my family. Complain, complain, complain. Exactly. Last time here, it's a paper trail. Every single time you complain and they don't reply to your complaint, you're going to have a mountain of paperwork where they simply do not reply. When you finally sue the CRA, which I recommend that all of you do, you show the judge, look at all these letters I wrote. They have not replied to a single solitary one of them. They refuse to comply with the taxpayer's Bill of Rights. They refuse to comply with the law. You know, I've been doing Freedom of Information Act forms for a lot of my clients. They get 30 days. 30 days to send you everything that you ask for. And I ask for a lot when we do these. One time, the CRA sent us back a letter to one of my clients. Only one of my clients has got a letter back. And they said, we're sorry, we don't do that. Well, yeah, you do. they said that you have to use a select form and then pay a $5 fee. No, that's not how it works at all. You see, when the Canada Revenue Agency is telling people that you owe money, and you say, I want to see my entire file, and they refuse to cooperate because you're abiding by the law. You're asking for freedom of information. I want to see everything. They don't have the right to say, oh, our policy says that you have to do it this way. The Freedom of Information Act form is very clear. Send it in, get your stuff. Here's an example. I did a Freedom of Information Act request. It was a letter on letterhead with my smiling face on the letterhead. I sent it off to Calgary Police, Edmonton Police, Peel Regional Police, Toronto Police, Ontario Provincial Police, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and Vancouver Police. Just a letter by email. Every single police department has sent me my entire file. All of them did. And they did it in less than 60 days. The ones who did it in 30 days, good for them. Edmonton and Calgary did it in 30 days. Peel Regional Police said that they wouldn't be able, because they had a big file, they said, they wouldn't be able to do it in 30 days. But they did say that the law allows them to do it in 60. So I looked at the law, and they were right, and they did it in 60. So if these criminal enterprise police departments are going to give me everything I asked for in 30 days, the CRA is also obligated to do the exact same thing, especially considering the fact that the Canada Revenue Agency is not a police force. They are a collection agency with criminals working for it. That's all that they are. So I want to ask kindly now to all of you out there to change the way you think. Do not make up laws in your own head. Don't sit there and say that, oh, you can't do that. That's illegal. How do you know? Most of you out there think that stuff is illegal that is not illegal. There's so many of you out there that are prepared to fight with family members saying that you can't do that. That's the law. Why fight with your family members? Before you shoot your mouth off and look like a fool and start an argument with a family member, read the law. If you honestly think that it's illegal, for example, to, let's say during a pandemic, if you think it's illegal to go to a park and do chin-ups on the monkey bars, if you honestly think that's illegal, before you shoot your mouth off and argue with your significant others, others, plural, read the law. I mean, I went through this with some of my family members. I took my kids to the park during you know what, and I said, yeah, we're going to climb. We're going to do our thing. And one time, a bylaw officer came by and said, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I do not wish to contract with you right now. You're irritating me. You are a bylaw officer with absolutely no authority over park grounds whatsoever. If you don't leave me and my children alone, I'm calling 911. And he shot his mouth off a bit longer. I said, fine, no problem. 911. Oh, hi. I've got somebody impersonating a police officer here, and they're threatening me. I need a police officer here immediately. You know, it took less than 3 minutes for the squad car to show up. I knew the law, and the cop told him, like, you can't bother people. He says, leave them alone. You got to do it. And the cops facilitated that properly. First time Peel Regional Police did anything right. So that's what I'm getting at, everyone. Don't put it in your head that things are illegal until you actually know the law. Don't fight with your family members because you're afraid. I'm going to tell you all this right now. Anybody who ever comes to me telling me that they won't do something because it's illegal, and I tell them, no, it's not, but they still insist that it is because of their own fear, that is someone that I have judged that I cannot trust. I will have no cowards by my side. I'm a big believer in that adage. If you're going to be afraid of everything, you cannot be in my personal life. You cannot be in my business life. You cannot even be in the same room with me. You got to go, because that makes you dangerous. People who are afraid of that many things before they've actually done the research are a danger to themselves, but worse, they're a danger to everybody around them, because they are the ones that'll turn you in a heartbeat. Don't think for a second that if this was World War II, that people would not be turning each other in right now. Okay. You would. You can always identify those who will turn you in. The ones who are afraid of things like the CRA, the ones who tell you something's illegal before they've done any research. Sometimes people say, oh, well, that's illegal because they want to sound intelligent. There's nothing worse than someone that has no clue what they're talking about, or someone who's a complete idiot who says something that sounds intelligent so they can have their 15 minutes of fame. Everybody wants to sound important for some reason. I can't stand it. If I don't have an opinion on something, I shut up. I don't talk. I don't want to talk about things that I have no knowledge of. I would rather listen. If I'm not a brain surgeon, but if a brain surgeon was talking about brain surgery at the table, I'm going to shut up and listen to him, which is kind of where I'm going with what I'm saying now, is if you know the law and the people in your family are afraid of something, make sure they shut up and educate them. And don't be afraid, people, to be educated. There is nothing better for you than learning something new. And there's nothing worse for you than fighting with your family on behalf of the government. The CRA is laughing at you. When people in households fight, and typically it is women that start these fights when it comes to taxes, because the letters that women get or families get are written by professional psychologists specifically to poison the mind and make fear-filled women. They target women because they know that a woman will argue with her man in a household and force him to pay just for some peace and quiet. Don't ever be that woman. If you're going to be afraid of something, leave the room. Excuse yourself from the entire situation and let whomever it is that knows what they're doing do the job for you. Never fight with your family because you're doing the CRA's work for them. And who's going to lose? You and your entire family, and they will have you to blame for it. I'm just asking you all, consider the fact that the CRA has no authority in Canada. Bylaw officers have no authority in Canada. Stay away from these people. Do not cooperate with them. In any particular way, do not cooperate. I'll leave you all with this. The people who work for the Canada Revenue Agency are cowards. They're cowards. I'm sure you all saw the video on my Rumble channel, which is just type in freedomreport.ca, where I phoned a woman named Diane Moore, M-O-A-R, who committed fraud and extortion and a few other things. She's been charged criminally now. I said to her, don't talk over me. I didn't threaten her. I asked her a question. Can I talk to your supervisor, or do we just go to the courthouse and charge you? And she kept reading the script off her screen. And then she started crying. And then her supervisor finally comes to the phone. So she says, I can't talk to her supervisor. But as soon as she's crying, the other supervisor, who's a woman, comes running over to the rescue. Oh my God, is a man yelling at you? Okay, that's what happened. So I got a chance to talk to the supervisor. And the supervisor tells me that she's going to remove Diane Moore from the case. Doesn't matter. We still charged her criminally. I don't care. Because they don't care. So understand that they're cowards. They'll fold up and they will turn on each other. If you're going to introduce what I'm proposing to all of you, and that's making the lives of individual CRA employees miserable, they will eat each other. So let's all of us watching this show here, let's become a unified force against the Canada Revenue Agency, because the cowards who work for it will quit on their own when we put enough pressure on them. And as for tax shelters, Paulo, you don't need them when you do them the way that I do taxes. Completely legal, completely within the bounds of every law and the Excise Tax Act. I have a really good time when I'm doing these things. So if you're having any tax trouble of any kind, whether it's personal or corporate, please get a hold of me. And remember, legally, everyone, I do everything legally. I don't want warrants for my arrest all over the world. It's all legal, what I do. And I want to point out that you do not have to pay any taxes on your homes when you sell them or your properties. How would you all like to know how to not pay capital gains taxes on houses? How would you all like to know how to do that? And if any of you out there have sold a property under a corporation and you have a capital gains tax coming due, get a hold of me, because I'm going to get rid of it. Ian Brown, excellent question. Property tax is the only tax in Canada you got to pay. Only one. Until the laws change, property tax laws are written solidly enough that they'll just take your house. But you don't have to pay income tax. You don't have to pay HST and GST. You don't have to pay liquor tax. These are a lot of taxes you just don't have to pay. You don't have to pay these taxes. And as for not repaying CERB, that's exactly what my client did. He was threatened to pay back CERB. He sued the CRA. He won. He's not paying CERB anymore, and he's getting $10,000. Yes. Fight. Fight. Always fight the fights that need fighting. The CRA, they're sloppy. They got a lot of cracks in their system, and they are completely beatable. Because cowards